Fool! You come back to Makalania Temple a traitor! Traitor! Find your salvation on the far plane!
525,600 minutes. How long does it take to beat Penance? Unlock Penance, maybe even. I don't know.
It takes a while.
I have almost wasted as much time on this particular section of the game for this, like, just this episode than I did playing Animal Crossing New Horizons for like 1 month. Still way ahead in terms of hours put into Animal Crossing for way less, getting way less back, but
More bells or more Gil? It's up to you.
More bells or more Gil?
Yeah, after you beat Penance, the final phase is Tom Nook, just like waiting for you to finish.
It's time to pay the price.
If you buy all the furniture in Animal Crossing, you'll unlock a special piece of furniture, which is the Every FNFF podcast. My name is Curtis.
I'm Carl.
I'm Alex, and we have returning champion Mrzwanzig. Thank you for coming back. And due to scheduling confusion and communication issue on my part, we have a second guest, Camp4r.
Hi.
Hi.
I feel like that was like the way that you said that, you were like, and we also have Camp4r on, because
it's my fault.
I'm Mrzwanzig's stunt double.
Did you ever see that the Nathan Fielder interview on Conan, where he's like, okay, if this interview goes bad, I have a backup guest, and she just brings on Susan Sarandon, and she just sits there staying completely silent the entire time. So it's like, yeah, so if the interview starts going bad, you can just like flip over to her, and then like every time Conan or someone tries to speak to her, like, what, you think the interview's not going right? Am I not doing enough job? She's only there as a backup. You're supposed to ignore her. Like,
that's amazing.
But yeah, Camp4r, thanks for coming on. We may have name dropped you in a previous episode, but part of the reason we wanted to bring you on is because we're doing the fucking superbosses / in Penance, and I know you are a very dedicated Final Fantasy X speedrunner. Nemesis %, right? Is that your kind of specialty?
Unfortunately, I think this is accurate to say.
He's not
spoken
proud
like
of
a
it.
true speedrunner.
Yeah. At a certain point, it goes from speedrunning to why.
See, it's funny because around these parts I get treated like I'm some kind of authority, but like I've speedrun this game like 3 times, like years ago, and Camp4r will know so infinitely much more about this game than I do.
So I guess since we're talking about Nemesis and Penance and all the super bosses, spoiler, there's a super boss called Nemesis. Do you have to catch 10 of every monster?
Yes and no. Yes, in the sense that it's everyone that you can catch. So yeah, it's a big pain. Like, for example, in the cave where you get Yojimbo, you can't catch the magic pots, because they will destroy you before you can catch them.
Yeah, right.
Or the Machina things, or like the defenders and stuff. Yeah.
There's a few there that are just like not part of like the quote unquote Pokédex that we have to worry about. They're just like, they're kind of not even counted as monsters or fiends. They're just kind of almost like mini games.
Well, see, your Yoshis, your Peekabloos, they don't really exist.
Well, I was thinking about it because I was like, I have my game time. I have my game time saved right before the fight with Sin, and then I have my game time after all the side quests and everything. And like, I must have doubled the time in the game just trying to do this. Like, it probably took me like 50 hours to like get everything. And I was like, I think the whole Nemesis run % is like 17. Like, how is this like humanly possible?
What am I doing wrong?
What am I doing wrong?
Well, Camp4r, you're current. I'm looking at speedrunner.com, and it looks like you're in the top 1 or 2 first place on Nemesis % for all of them, and they're all like around 20 hours.
So the one that's 17, that's PC, and we have the the luxury of having like a load remover, whereas the one that's roughly 21 hours is PS2, and that's for a few reasons. One, load times on PS2 are just awful compared to PC. And the thing between PS2 and PC is so we can abuse Yojimbo, which I don't know if y'all have already talked about.
We've got
it. But essentially, on the HD version of Final Fantasy X, Yojimbo's chance to use the insta-kill move Zanmato is buffed. That does not happen on the PS2 version, so we do other things.
It's less expensive methods.
Yeah.
I know, like, is there anything that Yanmato does not work on? I guess like Shinryu maybe, right? Because he's
only when you can't have unit in, but it does work on everything.
Holy crap.
That's awesome.
I wonder if you can hack the code to like summon like like underwater or something. Like, just take out Gazgano.
I wanna hack the game. I want to hack the game to see if it can work on Cypher from Final Fantasy VIII.
It won't work because it'll just become Gilgamesh. That's a good joke. Anyway, but yeah, so today we're going to talk about kind of like the additional bits of the game aside from getting all the celestial weapons, doing all like the obvious side quests, I guess. Like this is all about power leveling, original creations in the monster arena and the super bosses, right? And like I think we said this last time that like the amount of time that it takes to do just this one episode of content for me is like double the entire rest of the podcast up to this point. Like
I think
it's not
coming
fast.
up on triple for me. Like, and the way I kind of started looking at this, because like you can kind of start going insane if you're doing it. Like, luckily, it's like weirdly enjoyable and weirdly satisfying to like see number go up in Final Fantasy X. So I was just kind of thinking of this more as like new game plus. You know what I mean? Like we've pretty much done everything that we need to do in the main story. And this is kind of like, oh, well, you can go back and it actually like incentivizes you to revisit all the areas and do all this stuff. And then you get these cooler battles that you get to do that like, I don't know. I mean, I guess we should kind of get into it a little.
Yeah, I think maybe, and correct me if I'm wrong here, I think maybe the best place to jump into it, because we've already discussed the monster arena, we've kind of discussed how it works. I've said in a previous podcast, consider this your point to go capture all the monsters. So I think maybe the right place to start this would be with Dawn Tonberry. Like, does that make sense as a jumping off point?
That's a decent place to start. It's, in my playthrough, not what I started with, because I was trying to kind of do some of the arena creations a little bit earlier when there's still more of a challenge, so I can fight everything at a more or less appropriate level and have a more enjoyable time with it. But if you're just going for efficiency, then just getting to Dawn as fast as possible is definitely the way to go.
Yes, I guess we should say that, like, so in the monster arena, as we start capturing monsters, right? Once we complete, like, there's different, I guess, challenges you might want to say, or like groups of monsters in the game. So if you catch them all in one location, the guy who runs the monster arena will say, hey, you've caught all these monsters in one location. I've created a new monster for you to fight. Or if you capture all of them of the same species, he'll create a new one and say, hey, I've created this monster for you to fight. And then as special conditions are made, there's like another category of creations that he creates as well. And these are all what I would call, like, they're enemies, but they're like in the tier of super bosses, right? Like, like even like some of the more common ones that just look like the average like fiend that, Titus has to fight, like the dog-shaped fiend, will just be as strong or stronger than the final boss of the game. You know what I mean? So like,
honestly, a lot of them, once you get into the like kind of medium ones, you're like around or above the level of like Omega Weapon.
Right. Yeah.
I kind of learned that the hard way when we first got to the Calmlands and first like unlocked the monster arena. I was like, oh, this seems really fun. I'm gonna go and capture some enemies. And I think the first one that I got was like the Chimera Brain or whatever, and I'm like,
Chimera Geist, the
Chimera Geist, and I was just like, oh, I've seen this thing before. I should be able to take them down. My team's pretty well equipped, and I just got destroyed. Like I think that was the first time I saw like an enemy break the damage limit on me, and I was just like, oh no.
Yeah, and kind of what you were saying, Mrzwanzig, right? That So the thing, Don Tonberry is for power leveling, and like these enemies, these creations, right? There you could go through them and kind of hit them when you're the appropriate strength and have like, you know, an interesting fight, right? Because like they all have their own peculiarities. They're essentially bosses. They have their own strats. Or you could do as I was doing, where I'm like, these are very hard. I'm going to power level a lot. And then you kind of just take them all on as like, you're just maxing stats high enough to just start steamrolling them, right?
Yeah.
And like, to me, that was like, timely efficient, right? Like,
yeah, no, absolutely. That is absolutely what I did the first time I did all this post game stuff. But this time I wanted to like actually engage with the arena bosses a bit more.
Yeah.
And I would say based on what I did this playthrough, I was able to take out about like half of them, or like a good half, without having to do any grinding, just from the experience I'd gotten from doing the other optional stuff and just the monster capturing.
I noticed the first couple that I tried when I very first got into it, I could handle them if I had like an anima overdrive ready to go, because then anima would just do like 7 or 8 digits of damage and be like, oh shit, all right. Like, just like real nut stuff.
Yeah. For me, I kind of did the same thing where I knew pretty immediately about the Don Tonberry strat, where basically, like, we're going to get into it a little more, but you can pretty much in like less than 10 minutes get like 3 characters to 99 sphere level, so you can just cruise around, and like there's a really easy way to farm like the spheres so that you can unlock everything on the sphere grid. But before doing that, like there's a lot of like stepping stones that you need to cross before doing it.
It seems like it.
Okay, to get Don Tonberry, I need to go to all these different areas and catch all these monsters. I don't
specifically the Cavern of the Stolen Faith, one of every monster from there.
Exactly. So I was like, I kind of don't feel like doing that. I'm just going to kind of go around and catch things like in each area and see which rewards I want and try a few things. And then when I found out like the power leveling thing pretty much requires that you have weapons that have triple AP, overdrive to AP, and triple overdrive. Which is kind of difficult to make. The way that I handled that was there's a monster that can be created if you kill or capture all of the flying bat, like one-eyed monsters.
One horn flying purple people eater.
If you catch one of them, it creates this the super version of it called the One Eye.
One Eye
has really, really high defense and is really difficult to take out. And that was kind of where I started this whole like journey with it, because I was like, okay, I don't feel like going and getting all of the things to customize the triple AP or triple overdrive or whatever it is, but this thing can drop it.
You know what I love about One Eye?
What's that?
Is that when you first fight One Eye, like when you're trying to get these items, these weapons, like it was kind of tough for me to do. I was like, damn. So I'd like try to like, okay, well, I'll pull out anima and then use an overdrive, and then anima will die eventually, and then I'll pull out Mega Sisters and use, and you know, and maybe like after both of theirs I'll be able to beat One Eye, and then I'll just repeat that over and over. But then as you start power leveling and grinding and you get your stat strength really high, you start finding that One Eye can just be killed in 2 hits like of a normal attack.
Yeah.
And so like what was so incredibly monstrous becomes like the fastest
baby's
thing.
Challenge. Yeah. So like what I was doing was I realized, or I like read somewhere, that it was susceptible to armor break. So I had like Orin, and I also taught that to Waka, just like got Waka to that part of the sphere grid, taught him armor break to make sure that I could hit him, because Orin wasn't fast enough to hit him. Got the armor breakdown, and then I was doing like max damage. Then I would just summon the Magus Sisters and do like the physical attacks and just destroy One Eye. Like I had I forget which one it is, like Mindy or whatever, who has Pasado.
Yeah.
And I was just doing that, and I was like, yo, I want to get 9, like I want to get all 9s on each of those attacks and just be super overpowered. So as I was doing that and as I was getting power spheres, I would just like feed them to her to be like, yeah, come on, get your strength up. Let's like destroy these. So I started using the Magus Sisters a whole lot for this.
I have a really innovative strat for this, and that is that I ordered McDonald's and it's here now. So I'm going to go grab it off my porch. Please continue.
Should we wait for Curtis to get back, or should we just talk shit on him while he's gone?
I'm gonna talk shit, but I was gonna ask Camp4r, how does AP grinding work in a speed run? Like, do you just like know exactly kind of how much you need to kind of cheese like your way to the final boss, or what?
Yeah, so essentially the Don Tomberry strat that comes into play because it's really fast and efficient. One thing that we keep in mind for at least the route that I do, essentially we keep Titus at a low HP so we don't grid any HP on him, because the way that overdrive to AP works is that essentially how much charge you get is from, you know, the mode. So the more damage that Don Tonberry does over Titus's max HP, you actually get more out of that.
Oh, interesting.
Nice.
And the way that Don Tonberry works is that the karma attack is based off of how many fiends that particular character has killed. We have Titus actually capture all of the stuff post Unalesca. So we're getting max efficiency there.
Does that mean you don't even need to bother with some of like the triple overdrive or triple AP or whatever?
Yeah, essentially, we don't really need any of that as far as the run goes, because in a speedrun sense, you want to do as minimal gridding as possible, because gridding takes a while. So it's pretty much just getting Titus up to particular abilities he may need for all the capturing. And even if we're not going to use Zenmato, it's more or less just him using quick hit a bunch for like Nemesis and such.
Strength and agility.
Yeah.
Did we ever mention quick hit on the podcast, by the way?
I think we did briefly, like when we came up to it on the sphere grid. Yeah, quickly. Yeah.
Because like it becomes the VIP move, like in the end game on the final bosses.
Camper, so you were saying that you said Comrade is like more effective if it goes over like the max HP.
Yeah, essentially the more damage the character takes, it scales with their max HP.
Okay.
So essentially, the more of a difference there is there, the more AP you'll get out of that.
Oh, that's interesting. So that's why, you keep Titus very low, but also make his kill count very high.
Yeah, I love getting the questions like, wait, why is he doing so much damage? Because it looks very like overwhelming that he's at like 500 or so HP, but he's hitting for max damage.
That's awesome.
So backing up to the like Don Tomberry, because you mentioned like why would you want your character getting completely obliterated by a karma attack, is because for the Don Tomberry grind we have weapons equipped with a skill called overdrive to AP. So if you have a character that has Comrade and a character receives damage, their overdrive goes up. But because their overdrive is now their AP goes up instead. And so basically you're basically creating a character that's a lightning bolt for Don Tomberry's karma attack that everyone gets benefits from.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I forget, like, I think it's just Stoic for the receiver of karma, right?
Correct. Yeah.
And everyone benefits. It's kind of cool.
It's really satisfying,
and because of how long it takes for like Don Tomberry to approach, you could get like if you have like people haste enough, you can just get so much DP.
Toward the end of it, like you'll have like auto haste on your armor, and like once your agility stat is really high, and you're just looking for those like last couple Don Tomberry fights, like like you'll move like 16-20 times before he walks once.
Auto haste and auto phoenix, so like as soon as like Titus just completely gets decimated, like he's immediately right back up without having to like waste a move, and you just get so much cram so many turns in, and then you just run because you've already gotten all the AP. You don't even have to beat him if you don't want.
Here's my question. This is my question about the end game Final Fantasy X, especially around like Don Tomberry and power leveling all these strats. Do you think that we're meant to do these strats? Because, like, I was thinking about it. I was like, how the fuck else would you do any of the post game without these, like they seem like quote unquote OP strats, or like they're like, or almost like you would consider like a cheese strat sometimes, but like, I don't think any of this shit is doable without it. Like, I mean, you have to.
When they're doing the rat in the maze thing, the cheese is there at the end of the maze. It's put there for us. The cheese is for us.
Also, I'll tell you what, real quick, just to let the audience listening to us know, I'm eating McDonald's while recording, and I've had my camera on the whole time, so I'm just like a little gremlin over on the side, just like shoving fries in my mouth. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do.
You need the second mic so I can like phase them out. So you just you eat into one mic and I'll...
I'm going to turn my camera off for a couple minutes, but I'll be back.
You could just have it so you see the top of your head. That'd be really cute.
Oh, yeah. You see, like, the bottom of me looking down, eating fucking thing. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
I get the feeling that the developers definitely knew how ridiculous a lot of this stuff is, and my exhibit A for that is the rewards that you get for creating a lot of these Monster Arena monsters are like ridiculous. The items that you get and how many you get.
99 dark matter. Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
Which equals 1 ribbon.
But there's one item that I think is hilarious. It's called 3 stars. You get 99 of those at some point as well. And you use a 3 stars. What that does is it makes all of your characters use 0 MP for anything they do. So MP is literally just not a thing as soon as you
0
use
MP
that.
or is it 1 MP?
0.
Oh wow!
For the whole fight too.
It's free.
Like it doesn't wear off.
It goes away if they die, but as long as you can keep them alive, that's really, really good.
Wow.
It's so
That'll
interesting
come in
how
big
many
handy
different
later.
Yeah, it's so interesting how many different strategies there are with that, because there's like armor that you can make or like a weapon that you can make that'll do like half the MP cost, which I was using a little bit for a while, and then it's like, oh wait, there's this one which has 1 MP cost, and then you're like, wait, this one has 0. That's incredible.
Oh yeah, so like the first thing we may do for this like AP grind is like, what was it? You're supposed to get if you conquer 6 areas, you will unlock Catastrophe. Clear out 6 areas, and then that'll give you Door to Tomorrow, which you can use to craft Overdrive to AP. So the first thing you do during this frickin' Don Timeberry thing is like make sure you've captured enough characters.
Right.
Yeah, pretty much this part of the game feels like you should probably also learn how to use like Google Sheets or Microsoft Excel, because it feels like it needs a spreadsheet where you're like trying to like calculate everything, and especially if you're trying to be like efficient with it and you're like, okay, well I need to get this item to make this armor and I need to do this, like what's the best way to do it? So like I actually kind of did a tweak of like the Don Tonberry kind of strategy where the enemy Kotos, which is basically just like the big ogre guy who will like he'll always counterattack you, and he'll always focus on the person who has the highest strength stat and attack him. So what I would do was I just kind of like, I didn't have the full armor that I wanted for the Don Tonberry thing, but I had like triple AP and AP to overdrive or something. So I was like getting enough of like that would be power leveling in any other game if like the Don Tonberry strat didn't exist. So I was just like having Arin get the shit kicked out of him over and over again, and then I would have like Yuna revive him with a Phoenix down, and then I would have like, you know, just kind of go through this to try and get the like you can also from that boss you can force a drop of 40 of any sphere that you want.
Oh yeah.
So if you use like the distiller, or if you use one of the items that you can just buy from the guy,
or like
at the
extract
monster
power,
room,
extract speed, or whatever. Yeah.
Exactly. You can just use that on him, and he I forget what he usually drops. It's like 40 like lunar curtains or something, and he'll just drop.
I forget what it is, but I got it a bunch of times because I kept forgetting to use the distiller.
Yeah, exactly. So it makes it pretty much like, oh, okay, I just have to stop here and get like, you know, do a couple rounds of this to get enough spheres for like leveling up or feeding to my Aeons so that they can do damage and stuff. And then I made it pretty far along the sphere grid with a couple of people with that. And then I finally like to the point where I then put on auto Phoenix. So I was just hitting X to defend with my entire team. And like Arin just kept like, I used like 50 Phoenix downs in one fight and just like let it go through. And then I ended the fight and I was up like 30 levels or something. And then like from there, I was like, oh wait, Don Tonberry, let me try that now. And in like a fraction of that time, I got 99. I was like, yeah, that's the strat.
I don't know if I actually shared on the podcast because it wasn't really relevant, but I basically made a sphere / AP mining rig. So what I did is I found out if you go to the if you have memory selected on your in your attacks, I found if you just keep hitting X.
Wait, is there memory in this game?
Yeah.
God damn it.
Yeah, it's called copycat.
I was selecting quick hit from the very, very bottom of the fucking menu every time.
Yeah, what I found out, so I have a 8-bit Do Pro controller which has turbo on it. And so I found out is if you just talk to the guy at the monster, hit X and hit X again, you'll select a dingo. And if you and just keep hitting X, it'll hit whatever attack you have last selected. So I just put a capo from my guitar holding down X button while I worked for 8 hours a day.
Fighting dingoes.
I can't have it selected. I can't have a memory. I wish I could have it select like a different enemy automatically, but it would remember like, oh, I ran out of power spheres. I'll just have Waka use extract power in memory, and everyone else will I'll just be mining spheres. Like, oh yes, because I think he always drops like 4 of something or whatever. So like within an hour, I'll have, without doing anything, AFK, I'll have plenty of spheres and maybe some AP as well.
That's the legendary strats.
So like basically at this point we have the ability to pretty quickly, like, and by pretty quickly I mean this takes like hours of setup in order to do. But
this is starting to sound like those economic crash courses they show on TikTok. Like, there's no reason anyone should be living in poverty in America. It's this easy. Like, just going through all the simple steps.
Just have rich parents. But
it is like compared to the rate at which we've been covering the sphere grid while going through the game, where like you've had one character off in their little section, and by this point they'll have probably finished theirs and maybe gone a little bit into a second one or something. But now in like a few hours you could just cover the sphere grid essentially.
Yeah.
We're gonna start like finding ways to upgrade those spheres now, right? Like the
so maybe that's
for 4, which I still haven't quite figured out the best way to farm like HP spheres or like strength spheres.
So maybe that's actually the next part.
The ones that make new nudes.
Yeah, maybe that's the next part that we should actually discuss, because that is kind of the next thing, right? Like, once we have all these sphere levels, we'll be able to start going around the sphere grid, filling in those, the sphere, excuse me. Oh, man, powerful.
Oh my God.
Let me take that again.
It's like when you fill all the slots in your computer with like, oh, I got 4 slots of RAM, and they all have 4 gigs on each of them. What am I going to do next?
How can we make them all 16 instead?
Well, so once we have our characters kind of cover the whole sphere grid, right? Like, we've gone and touched everything. Our stats are still suboptimal. Like, they're still not in the place they need to be to fight a lot of these post games.
You can at that point, once my stats reached that point, I was able to kill everything in the monster arena and kill like half the Dark Eons.
Okay.
Pretty handily.
Yeah.
I did most of that I did with fewer stats than that.
I'd say at like that point you have like 150 strength or so, something like that.
Probably a bit higher. It also depends if you use some of the strength spheres that you got from like the lightning dodging, you get 3 of them. That's already like 12 strength.
Oh, true.
Or if you won Blitzball, you have another one.
Yeah. I won Blitzball, but I did not do the lightning.
I won Blitzball, but all I got was this lousy strength sphere.
But you can be somewhere near like 200 strength just from what's on the sphere grid plus like a
That's
couple
pretty
extra.
damn good then. Because like our max stat in any category is 255, right?
Yes.
So like once we reach that point, and even once we're up to like around 200, you're gonna be seeing a lot of like all 9s, like quint 9s, I guess, like full 5 9s on most of your physical attacks. But
is that the max in this game? Does it just stop at 5 9s, or can you go higher?
Kind of, you can go higher in the sense that you can do certain
Multiple
like
hits.
multi-attacks that won't show unless you have the short animations on Anima and use Oblivion, which I think hits like 5 or 6 times or something.
Oh, it's a lot of times. It
hits a bunch. And then if it's the short animation, you
Delta,
don't say...
I think, also does something similar,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, but I think with Delta, you see them tick. Like, you see a couple of different attacks, so it's like 999, over and over. But with Oblivion, it's just like plays the short animation, you miss most of the hits. So then it just shows the monster that you're attacking standing there with like
a million damage or some shit.
It's wild.
Yeah. But yeah, so like eventually we're gonna run out of those stats, and like Mrzwanzig was saying, we can take on a lot of the monsters and Dark Eons at that point, but we will need to go even further at a certain point. So
eventually.
The monster arena and I think they're all in the species creation category, if I remember right.
Not all, but most.
Most. Oh yeah, you're right, because the luck and fortune one is in the original creation.
Luck. We'll get to
we'll get that.
I have some words for the luck stat.
I'm excited to hear about that.
So with the exception of the luck and fortune spheres, so we're talking like your HP, strength spheres, all that stuff. Like the ones to turn a blank node into that sphere, and the one to unlock it. All of those spheres are attainable by fighting the species creation bosses, and it's a quick way to be able to get them. And I think they usually drop 2 at once on a decent fight. And then there's like a 1 in 10 chance to get like dark matter.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I got some dark matter when I was trying to farm the like strength spheres or something. I was like, God damn it.
Constantly got them when I was trying to farm the luck and fortune spheres, and I was so like aggravated by it.
That's so annoying.
It was terrible. But like, and those creatures are pretty tough. Like, they require like a high enough stats to make them easily doable. And like, I'm thinking specifically of like, I can't remember the name of it, but like the wasp one is very, very evasive and can really get away from you until you have enough accuracy or luck. Yeah.
Or like the dark flan, which is just immune to like almost everything. So.
Yeah.
Jumbo Flan is like the worst enemy in the whole monster arena. It's actually the last one that I fought, even though it's not really one of the hardest ones. It's just incredibly tedious to fight because it's completely immune to all physical attacks. It's got 255 defense, so even with like overdrives, you're barely doing anything. And I just wasn't really using magic characters. So.
Yeah.
Right.
By the way, that's actually something that I wanted to ask for you guys. Did you at this point have like a specific party of 3 characters picked? Because I know I did.
I had a party that was, to me, the easiest celestial weapons to get. With the exception of Orin. I didn't use Orin because of the way his celestial weapon works. So I was like, oh, if he has max HP, he's going to be doing less damage. I can't afford that on Penance or something like that. I don't know if he's going to do full 9s or not. Maybe he'll do like 80,000 or something. Which maybe he still does full 9s. I don't know. But I had Riku, Titus, and Yuna as my 3 that I was buffing.
That sounds like a good party. That's kind of, I was kind of trying to go, in my heart, I wanted it to be like Riku, Titus, and Yuna, or Riku, Lulu, and Yuna. But the party that Fate gave me was the one that got the item drops from the one-eye farming that I did for like way too long. So I have Auron, Yuna, and Titus. I could also use Waka, but I still haven't gotten his celestial weapon. He's the only one that I haven't gotten, even though I kind of enjoy Blitzball. I was just like, yeah, I'm not getting the reels. I'm not getting the...
Well, and as I understand it, like, Waka is the most powerful character because of his attack reels, right?
I would say, sure, he has the strongest attack, but I would say the best character is without a doubt, it's Riku.
Oh, yeah, fair.
From all the ridiculous, like, good items that you get for creating the monster arena, her mix just becomes ridiculous. You can do whatever you want.
There are...
An overdrive.
2 very specific mixes that I become very well acquainted with during all of these fights, and that would be the Ultra Null All and Hyper Mighty G.
Yeah.
Like, those are some, I would say, poggers mixes.
Do you want to say what they do?
No, I'll just let the listener figure it out.
Yeah, they can
No, actually, I can't remember which one's which, so I need to look it up real quick.
I think
one of them is like
is
a
the
musk,
one,
right? You use musks to make a null all? Is that what it is?
Well, you can use, there's multiple mixes for
That's
each
right.
one.
Again, spreadsheet.
Spreadsheet.
I just found out by mistake, like
have the
musks,
wiki
I
page.
have these, I have no idea what they do, and I think it was like a null all thing, because
I think I used the Super Mighty G or whatever it's called, the SoundCloud rapper name. I used that at one point.
God, that's really good. That's really good.
I was fighting like a Dark Aeon like early or something, and I was like, okay, I need to use this, and I still like couldn't do it, but like I was like, this seems like it's like extremely overpowered, but it's basically like it casts like cheer, like the full stack of cheer on your whole party, and also like does like the mighty guard as well.
Right.
Does
So that
shell
you're, like,
protect
protected
haste
shell.
and regen on everyone. That's cool.
And importantly, auto life.
Ooh.
Oh hell yeah,
Yeah.
that's really good.
So like that's Hyper Mighty G, right? Is all those buffs.
Yeah, and then Null.
The Ultra Null All is so the thing is, it doesn't necessarily confer statuses, I guess, quote unquote, onto you, but I think it is like the better of the 2 is Ultra Null All, because it gives you all like the elemental null spells at once, right? But like to me, the super important one is it basically casts like cheer and luck and all that stuff 5 times instantly on everybody. And like that is so handy. It's basically just like full stat buffs in one move.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
it's
it looks
great.
like there's a lot of combinations for that, using healing water, tetra, elemental, or healing spring, plus like a bunch of other things.
Yeah.
And it sounds like it would just be super overpowered, but for these optional boss fights, it's basically just like, oh no, you need to do this. To, to last.
Especially the last one.
And
Oh boy.
All this like auto life and auto phoenix talk also kind of gets me into something I wrote down in my notes for this episode, which I'd like to call 4 reasons why you shouldn't bother trying to survive things in FF10 post game.
Can we have a music drop right here? like Mrzwanzig's corner. This is my favorite fucking BuzzFeed listicle. And you won't believe number 3.
it generally, like, trying to not die.
The Swan song. Sorry.
Generally, trying to not die is kind of like instinct, but when it gets to these post game bosses, a lot of the time, just actually trying to survive whatever they can dish out is like so ridiculous that it's not even worth it. Reason number 1 not to do it is auto phoenix and auto life exist.
Right.
So like auto phoenix is an ability you can customize on your armor, which just makes characters use a phoenix down on you whenever they die, and it like doesn't take up a turn.
Right, as long as all 3 of you don't get KO'd at once, right?
Yes, exactly.
Right.
I mean, that's kind of the theme of the game, right? It's just like futility and false hope and all that stuff. You just gotta embrace that.
Yeah, speaking of futility and false hope, I do want to go back a bit just about like the monster capturing, because I didn't get 10 of every monster, specifically because I found this one. I think it's called the Simurg and Camp4r. I'm wondering, like, is that just a nightmare in the speed run? Like, is there strats to kind of like, is there like a step count thing that like forces an encounter with them, or are you just like, hopefully I get good encounters with this thing? Because I couldn't find these things anywhere.
So this is also a technically yes and no thing. So yes, they're a pain in the ass. They're absolutely the worst because they only spawn in one area. So something neat about some of these areas, for example, where you find that one, I think it's like Jose High Road, it's actually split up into 2 areas. And so you can only find it in the northern half of the area, which is like, I guess, the quote lighter one. And there's lots of theories like, hey, if you run around in this light area, you'll find it.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of those online. So yes, RNG for that one sucks. And then the no part comes with some HD consoles where you can actually manipulate your seeds of what encounters you can get.
Oh yeah, I think we heard about that at some point.
I think I touched on that briefly when I was just looking for tomberries in the Cave of Stolen Faith, because like the RNG like kind of functions maybe differently in the HD remasters. You have to somehow reset it if it's like just not spawning. So you can probably this similar kind of tech. I'm like curious about how it all works.
Yeah, essentially. So I think the one that brought it more into light of the speedrunning scene was Oddmog, who did it on PS4. And essentially it's just you close out of the game, you change your system clock to a certain like date and time thing, and then you just start up the game that point, and then that like sets your seed so you can anticipate what you're going to find.
Oh, weird.
That's awesome.
wild.
Was that recently discovered? Because I recently heard about that and I thought it was like kind of a newer strat.
Yeah,
that was found, but
I think
within the last
Mrzwanzig's
year.
already told us, actually.
Yeah.
I want to hear the rest of this listicle, though.
Well, yeah. So Auto Phoenix and Auto Life are really good. Auto Life is basically for when you're having to face like a multi-target attack that's going to kill everybody. Then obviously Auto Phoenix is not going to do anything because there's no one to throw a Phoenix down.
Right.
But you can still just have people revive themselves. So that's reason number 1. You don't really need to because those abilities exist. Reason number 2, generally your offense is going to far outpace your defense a lot of the time, just naturally, because there's a lot more strength and defense on the sphere grid just naturally to begin with. So a lot of the time what will happen is by the time you can actually survive an enemy's stronger attacks, you're probably also at the point where you can just two-shot them with your overdrive or whatever.
Dude, there's the enemy Kotos, the one that you like will grind for or whatever. When I first started fighting it, it would do like it would do a counter attack every time I'd hit it, and it would do just 5 digits, right? And I was just like, oh my god, like it would just pulverize me, absolutely one hit KO. And by the end, like, because and I could kill it, right? Because I got my strength up first, and like you were saying, like your strength outpaces your defense. So like, and I feel like one of the best defenses is just get the enemy off the board. Like then you'll take no damage. But by the end, when I was finally like done leveling up and done like I'd made like my penance armor or whatever, he would like counterattack and do like 200 HP, like instead of like 5 9s or some shit. It was hilarious, like how much that change was.
The best offense is a good defense, is what they say, right?
No, the best even.
But it's the opposite. The
Yeah.
best defense is
Yes.
a strong offense.
Reason number 3, and this kind of gets into like when you really start stat maxing, is that break HP limit kind of sucks in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I never had to use it. So
Yeah, you can do everything with just like 10,000 minus 1, which is the natural limit. You can do everything pretty reasonably with that. And it is possible to break that limit, but it's pretty grindy both to get the HP needed for it, to really take maximum advantage of it, and also to get it customized. You need some pretty specific items that you don't actually get that many of from arena rewards.
yeah, I didn't even think about that really, because like now that I'm thinking about it, breaking the HP limit would, I guess, let you go to 5 9s.
It does, but
Yeah.
getting to
And
that point,
I was gonna say,
actually,
yeah, because like when we get our strength spheres and all those spheres, like those add 4 to our stat, right? Like immediately, so it's just like 4 you can go up. But it maxes at 255, so you don't really have to do that many once you're done with the sphere grid. But like your HP would still have a long fucking way to go.
Yeah, because naturally there's somewhere like close to 20k or something on the sphere grid, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, you'd have quite a jog to start taking advantage of it, and to take advantage of it, because like the enemies are still going to be doing 5 digits of damage anyway.
Yeah.
So,
and then there's the thing that Camp4r mentioned about like you get less overdrive if you have more HP. So having too much, you're not going to get as many overdrives. Yeah. And also, it actually is kind of hard to heal for more than 4 9s.
Right. I mean, yeah, when I had a 255 magic, I think my characters were doing Curaga for like lower 9,000s. Something like that.
I think that sounds about right.
Yeah, so if I had 30,000, like what am I gonna like? Spells wouldn't make any sense at that point.
I'm wondering if it probably doesn't even make sense with Arin's celestial weapon. Isn't it like the further he is away from his max HP, like the better he attacks? So like maybe you could get a buff there, but again, you might if you have like 255 strength, even if you're full HP. I feel like you would still be doing the damage that you do anyway. You can't break beyond the damage break limit. So what you're saying, Mrzwanzig, is I don't need to get that one enemy that drops defense spheres because defense is useless.
I would recommend maxing defense.
Yeah, HP.
HP, I wouldn't go above 4 9s. It's really not that necessary.
Because very specifically for Penance, you need 255 defense.
Okay.
Yeah.
And defense plus 20 on your armor.
And finally, reason number 4, some stuff is still going to kill you anyway. There are going to be stuff, and most of the Dark Aeon overdrives kind of fall into this category that will just kill you unless you go up to like actual like 5 9s of HP. And even then, there's stuff that you will just kill you.
Right. Actually, is this you think this would be a good time to get into some Dark Aeon stuff? I feel like
I think so.
Unless you want to talk about like some of the specific Monster Arena fights, still, like I guess we can talk about Nemesis.
Oh, you know what? Let us talk about some Monster Arena fights. So there's one specifically that actually, let's talk about the Fortune Sphere one and the Luck Sphere, and then we'll do the one that I think is shitty, and then we'll do Nemesis. Okay, sorry. Somebody else lead it. I don't want to lead it. I'm not an expert.
It's terrible. Why would you want to do that? It's terrible.
I am also not an expert in that I got exactly one Fortune Sphere and one Luck Sphere.
Okay, yeah.
Out of grinding that. And I ended up trying to do it legit. And admittedly, I wasn't super like power leveled. I didn't like have all the spheres unlocked or anything for the character. So I was underleveled in that respect. But I was also like, I could have done it, but I was like, fuck this. Zanmato. Like I just paid to get those. And what Mrzwanzig, do you know the specifics of those fights? Because they seemed really rough.
Specifically, do you mean Earth Eater? The one that drops
Earth
the
Eater is not too bad. I feel like if you're doing enough DPS, like you can knock
Earth
them
Eater
over.
is one of those fights where, like, if you have Auto Phoenix and are dealing a decent amount of damage, you're gonna win.
Yeah,
Because
it's
he doesn't
just
have anything. That
He just has so much goddamn HP, and every time because he counterattacks every time,
yeah.
His counterattack takes valuable seconds of my life away. And so like that's like the worst thing about Earth Eater is that like every time I do it, I'm just like, here we fucking go again, like 5 more minutes of this.
And yet you have a podcast. Curious.
Yeah.
And the worst thing about Fortune Sphere grinding as well is that these you can only get 2 at a time, and these are just to fill in the nodes.
Yeah.
So most of like power spheres and mana spheres and such, you can farm 40 at a time.
Right.
But Fortune spheres, you're going to need one for every character for every luck node that they fill in.
Now my secret for beating the Earth Eater when I was doing it this week was to sing the song Earth Angel, but with Earth Eater while I was doing it. So I would be like sitting on my porch going like, Earth Eater, Luck Sphere be mine.
Well, that's why you're on your porch lately.
Yeah, it was. That's what I was doing. I was sitting out there all goddamn day for like 6 hours a day, just fucking grinding Luck and Fortune Spheres.
Just your
This game sucks.
I did the same thing on my first playthrough of Demon Souls, where I got to the boss, the Man-Eaters.
Where he took his PS3 outside and...
Yeah. No, I was just dying so much. And I think I was streaming this. This is like many, many years ago before I like started actually like streaming regularly. But I was getting so like tilted from it by just dying. I was like, I need to do something to like keep my head level. And every time I died, I would just restart the song Man-Eater by Hall & Oates as I made the run back. And then I would fight them, die, restart it, and be like, I want to hear this whole song, so I got to kill them. and it ended up working for me.
Let me tell you a secret. I never beat that boss.
The Man-Eaters?
The Man-Eaters.
Let me tell you a secret. I've been learning the speed run, and I also feel like I will never beat that boss. They suck.
So yeah, the other one, I guess. And by the way, the Earth Eater is a recolor of the Chocobo Eater, which I love.
Yeah,
right?
It's really good.
But the other one is the Greater Sphere. And this is the one that sucks because I think... Let me think about this for a second. Yes, all of the other creations in the Monster Arena, you can just watch television and press A, and like you'll get through them, but you can't with this one, and that's the worst thing about it, is that you have to pay attention like while you're doing it. It sucks. Why would a game make me play it?
Why is it specifically this one?
Which one is this?
So this is
the Spheromorph recolor.
Is that a recolor? It's like it goes from like green to like teal green
to like light blue.
Yeah.
What's it called?
A greater
Sphere?
sphere.
Oh, I thought that was a prize for some reason. Greater Sphere.
It sounds like one. It sounds like something we could put in the sphere grid.
Half of the goddamn things we get in this game are spheres.
Well, so this guy does counter every move with Ultima, right? Which... First problem with that is that Ultima takes like 30 seconds to cast, and so like you attack and then you're just like, all right, it's that time to wait for it. But on its turn, it'll do. Oh god, what's the fuck? I can't think of the name of the move, but it's the same one that Spheromorph had, where he would like flatten out and press. I think it's called press. Yeah, and it hit everybody.
Press.
And it does a lot of damage. So even with like 255 defense, I was getting hit for like 4,000, like upper 4,000s of damage.
It is a demi attack and does 15, 16th, so 15 out of 16 of your. So almost, like I don't know what the percentage of that is.
Yeah, it does get reduced by protect, I think. So it's like
that's right.
That's why it was doing
that's like 90. Yeah, like
90%
of your of your HP is gone in one hit.
And because all of its counters and all of its moves hit the whole party, you can't trust Auto Phoenix to do anything for you because all of them are going to die at once. So you either need to stagger their HPs so that someone will be alive to Auto Phoenix everybody, or actually keep people healed. And so not a huge deal, but when I have to fight this enemy fucking 100 times or whatever to get enough spheres, it's very annoying.
So did you know that he actually does not counter overdrives with Ultima?
I think I did. Yeah, because he counters it with the press, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's how I was fighting him, was only hit him with overdrives.
Okay.
Because I was using Waka and Titus in my party, so I had two characters with fairly good overdrives for doing damage.
You know what? So like we were saying, I don't have Waka, but I do have Titus. And I guess we should mention this too. There's a skill that I have not used the entire game that got mad usage from me through this grinding called Entrust.
Oh, yeah.
And Entrust rules in this situation because I only had Titus who could do like multi-hit overdrives. So you can use this move Entrust to give your overdrive bar to another character. So like if it used like the hydraulic press, everybody gets their overdrive up. Titus uses his, and then I'd have like Riku or Yuna entrust theirs to him as well, and then he could use it again. And so that ended up being a good strat.
It's a fantastic move that really like lets you strategize a lot more and have more flexibility in what overdrives you need in a particular situation.
Right.
Now, with the overdrives, have we talked about Titus's final overdrive? Because I just got that like today while grinding.
Ace.
And to get this, you have to do 80 overdrives with Titus, and it's it's called Blitz Ace, and it's kind of like it does multiple hits. I think it does like 7 or 8, and then it does one final hit that if you like land the timing of it, it'll do like a massive amount of damage. I don't know how the percentages work or anything like that, but it also apparently has the affection meter play into it.
Here's the weirdest thing about this, okay? The entire time I had Blitz Ace, I would always get Lulu as the last person. Because like you're saying, the affection meter plays into it. The last hit, somebody throws him a blitz ball, and then he does like essentially the eject shot on it. Hits the enemy, does a lot of damage. The last time it was Riku, though. I don't know why. It was only the last time. I was just like, that was out of nowhere.
Weird, because I have always had Lulu as like the affection like character or whatever, but I figured just because Yuna is in my party, Yuna was the one to throw the ball, so I don't know if that's another one of these things that's like, oh, if you run in the sunny
maybe
area...
it's tied and it just has like a dice roll.
Yeah, it could be.
It probably depends on... Here's what I'm thinking. One of those characters has Auto Phoenix and has been like using it on like Titus or something like that. Because when you use items in battle on certain characters, that also ups like affection.
Okay.
Oh, that makes
sense.
a lot of sense. That's so obvious. I feel like
I thought it was just dialogue.
Yeah, because I just also got the through this grinding, I got like the overdrive, like the way it charges. I forget what they're called, but I got victim because like Titus is getting his ass kicked so much, and I also got I forget the one where you like revive someone, so you get a different
not healer, is it?
No, it's not healer. It's similar to that, but it's like with reviving. Let me check.
Daredevil.
There's actually so many overdrive modes.
There's so many.
I feel like there's only like 3 useful ones.
I found out the other week. I found out about one called Loner, which is like for a really niche speedrun strat in Nemesis, where you're fighting Jumbo Flan.
The Rook.
I found that out while I was talking to Sarah.
The Dancer.
Interesting.
What is Dancer?
As like gauge fills when the character evades an enemy attack.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, that's cool. I like Tactician. Charges when status attack succeeds. Pretty weird.
Okay.
Oh, Kimari has Loner on mine. And Riku has Daredevil. That's so weird.
There's Hero, which is a gauge fills when a character kills an enemy with at least 10,000 HP or 20 times more. Right. Wow, that's a lot.
Avenger is the one where it charges when allies are KO'd.
Nice.
I actually tend to get Tactician a lot because whenever I'm capturing the fiends for Nemesis runs, I have a capture weapon with Stone Strike on it. So I'm petrifying things and just one hitting capturing them.
Gotcha.
Nice.
My favorite thing about having petrification and capturing is that I'm assuming that when the guy just receives a bag full of like shards, it's like
Put
here
them
you go,
together.
okay,
Okay.
mated.
So we still got quite a bit to go. So let's start walking up here. So those are those two bosses. The one that I wanted to mention in the species creation, or maybe it was the original creation, was Nest Slug.
Yeah, fuck that thing.
Like a Nestle
That one was
slug.
tough as well because
He's also worth mentioning because he's the only non-recolor. He's the only
he's
actual
like-
original creation.
He's an original one, right? Yeah.
there are no other ones. It's just a gigantic slug.
I have to wonder if that was like a boss that was cut or something from the main game.
Maybe. I mean, he has an interesting enough like attack pattern that like it almost seems like he would have been a boss, like with some thought to him and stuff.
When you fought him, did anyone have Riku in the party?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Because she has a dialogue, so that makes me kind of think
Yeah,
that maybe
what-
she.
What do
she
you know what her
has had
dialogue
some
is?
part.
She goes,
Time to go, escargot.
That's
That's
awesome.
so good.
But yeah, that one's really tough because he at a certain HP threshold, he hides in his shell and just nullifies all physical damage and heals like 20,000 HP
A
every
fuck
turn.
ton,
And
yeah.
I was just like, oh, this sucks.
Yeah,
I
he
think-
also has 4 million hit points.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And I think Aeon overdrives can break the shell. Is that right? Like they'll break through it? Because if I remember right, I used Anima.
I think if you do 3,000,001 damage, then his shell will break. And I think that is just a running counter throughout the whole battle. I could be wrong about that because I got fed up with trying to spend my time killing this thing and I just Zanmato'd him.
you just have
okay.
to get him down below a certain amount.
Okay.
I could eventually do it once my characters were powered up enough by just like throwing a couple of my overdrives at it.
Skipping the HP threshold.
I didn't fully skip it, but I could just out damage him.
Okay.
This thing is ugly. It has
Yeah, it's
dentures.
Oh,
really
it's
cool
cute.
model.
What are you talking about?
It's like it looks like it has a head
like a little
crab
hermit
with
crab.
it reminds me of those teddy bears you practice like brushing your teeth on at the dentist office. It has like it has human teeth. I don't like it.
But yeah, Nestslug sucks.
Yeah, that one's wild. I guess another one of
Nest
note.
Slug 7.
I guess another one of note might be the Shinryu, just because you fight this one underwater for some reason.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I don't know where that's supposed to be taking place because like
I
all the
happen
other
to be
fights
using
seem to
the
take
swimmer
place in the
party.
Calmlands.
I like to think that the Monster Arena guy just has like a giant pool in his backyard. And he's like,
Yeah,
just hang out.
The old swimming hole.
yeah, right.
It's like the burgers are almost done, so get your swimming in now. You'll have to wait an hour. I'm very
Yeah.
serious about this. I don't want you to get a cramp.
And that one can be especially wild if you don't have Waka, because like it forces a battle party of Titus, Waka, and Riku for that one. Still not too bad though. If you have somebody with like stone proof, that's good because he can shatter people. But the reason why we're all here, baby, is because once you defeat, I think is it all the original species and area creations? Is that right? To unlock
Yes,
him,
you have to beat all of them.
Yes.
then you'll be able to fight Nemesis. So returning from Resident Evil 3, right? Stars. Whatever, fuck it. All right.
So I actually have nothing to say about this one because I didn't actually fight him in my game.
Oh, okay.
The reason for that being is you can actually unlock all the other ones with basically half the capturing. And I was like, I'm not going to do twice as much capturing just to fight a boss that is easier than Penance anyway.
Right. Well, and so I guess we'll talk about Nemesis in general at first, and then I'm curious about how to beat him in a speed run.
His name in
like-
Japanese is pretty fucking metal. which is Subete o Koe Shimano, which means he who hath conquered all.
Oh, that rules.
That's sick.
That's pretty sick, yeah.
So it's a recolor of Omega Weapon, right?
Yeah, he's got a streamers
It's like
again.
gold.
He's gold and blue.
Yeah. Looks cool as fuck.
Royalty here.
And even with like some of the max stats, like even when your characters are like up there, like near max everything, he can still wreck shit. Like he can like still fucking put in numbers on your party. So like for me, like Auto Phoenix and all that stuff was like not optional. It wasn't handy, you know, with a lot of these bosses, but especially this guy required, to beat this dude. So and he's fast too, because like I was able to get like on normal enemies, it's just all my party members forever. You know what I mean? Like they never get a turn, and he would get a turn like every 4 or 5 moves.
His stats are pretty max. I'm looking at the stats like, oh yeah, like 10 million HP, 255 strength, 255 magic.
Yeah,
200
10
agility.
million HP. Like, and we can do 5, 9. So we can essentially do what 100,000?
Yeah, 100,000.
Yeah, 100,000. So that's at least 100 hits and one, right? It's gonna take 101 hits, like at our best, to be able to take him down. So this can take a minute.
He's armored, so maybe if you get his health, get his defense down a little bit, it might cut some of those hits down. Who knows?
Well, I was still doing 5/9s.
Chuck a frag grenade at him.
Yeah. I mean, I was still doing 5/9s to him the whole time. Like there was no more damage I was going to be doing. But even with that, it just he took a long time for me. But I find like many of the post game bosses are kind of more about being methodical. Like once you have the rhythm, it's not bad. You know what I mean? Like you know what they throw out, you know what you can do, you know what you do on your turn. You just consistently do it, and then you're fine. Right?
Wow. Camper mentioned in the chat earlier that there is some interesting strats you can approach this, which I'm curious to hear about.
Very curious.
So, one of the strats is you have summon Yojimbo, and it's that easy. But
pay to win.
Yeah, exactly. So Nemesis in I'll go based off the PS2 speedrun because we can't abuse Yojimbo there. There's a couple routes that have been done. The one that I use is pretty much just Titus uses quick hit a lot. And that's speedrun sense. We're not gridding. We're just gridding minimal wise. So we just have one person really doing all the damage, and then the other two, which in that run I believe is Kamari and Riku. Riku, like we've all mentioned, with the mixes, having auto life is just way too good. And then Kamari just happens to be there because throughout the length of the speedrun, he gets more agility nodes than other members. So he's already, getting more turns in than anyone else would. And so the really cool thing about Nemesis is that is how the AI works. So Nemesis has a few different moves up its sleeve, but essentially each move adds some amount to a particular counter. And when that counter hits 20, it'll use some ultra move that's like a party weapon kind of thing.
Yeah, what was that called? Is that ethereal cannon?
There's like
I think
that sounds
or
right.
Ultra Spark. It has Ultra Spark and ethereal cannon. I remember.
Yeah.
Armageddon.
Armageddon, yeah.
That's right. Oh, by the way, we were talking about Sin's movie. You remember we had Mutsky on and we were talking about Sin's Overdrive, right? Like it fills all the way.
Yeah.
And we were all like, how disappointing. That was like the laziest looking move ever. Like
it just gives you a game over screen.
For it being Sin's ultimate attack, like this looks really fucking lame and weak. Armageddon is a good fucking move animation. That is cool as shit. It takes like 2 minutes to go off. Shows the destruction of the world. It's amazing. It's great. Super good.
Yeah.
Sorry, continue.
It's interesting to me just in a lore sense that like this man is just chilling in the calm lands and he's like, yo, accidentally let all of my pets out. Can you go and bring them back? Oh, by the way, you did that? Check this shit out. I just made something that is worse than Sin. Something that can easily defeat Sin. Like this man could do it himself.
Maybe he just doesn't know about Sin. He's just like, I'm just a man. He's a hobbyist.
Yeah.
God.
Sorry, anyway.
Yeah, I mean, there's that big bad move, and pretty much all in the speedrun sense is just keeping track of that counter, because He has a regular attack where he just like swipes. I think Ethereal Cannon's a single target move, and then the other Spark one is AoE.
Yeah.
And essentially it's just about juggling auto lives and prepping Riku's overdrive if needed, because more often than not she'll get her overdrive back. But like you mentioned prior, Entrust is really, really handy to have just in case.
Yeah, I guess like in case he uses like Ethereal Cannon or the single swipe on someone who isn't giving Riku overdrive. Which I guess, depending on her setting, could be her or somebody else. Right.
Exactly. But yeah, the fight itself is pretty cool. I will say that quick hit in the PS2 version is so nice compared to HD because
I've heard that it takes way more time off.
Yeah. They've essentially nerfed quick hit in the HD version, where it's like if you could get maybe like 4 quick hits in the HD version, you can get twice that amount roughly. It's really, really nice.
That sounds real nice.
You said like what, 45 minutes of quick hits, and that's like the whole fight.
That's for Penance.
Oh, for Penance. I'm sorry.
That one's for Penance. Yeah, for Nemesis, a good Nemesis, quote unquote good Nemesis, in the route that I use is roughly like 13 minutes, and that's 13 minutes of juggling that counter and making sure you don't mess up.
Right. And that is like the big part of these fights, right? Is just making sure you don't mess up on the lengthier battles. Because like, we'll get to Penance. I did mess up on him a couple times, like 40 minutes into the fight, and was like, God damn it. Anyway, so that is the Monster Arena and Nemesis, and we still got a way to go. So I tell you what, let's take a break, and when we come back, we'll get to the Dark Eons. Ooh.
Sounds good, buddy.
All right, I'll see you there.
While we were on break, we realized that we forgot a very cool fight in the Monster Arena, and it's one of Mrzwanzig's favorites. It's
my personal favorite one from the Monster Arena, which is called Thuban with an apostrophe in the middle of it for some reason.
In Japan is Brachiorados for some reason.
Why do they get all the good names?
I also, when I went to search it, I accidentally searched something from Skyrim, which is like one
I
of
was
the
gonna
shouts.
say, I was literally getting ready to say, isn't that the name of like the shout from Skyrim
I
or
think
something?
I may have actually said it before I realized
That's
it.
funny.
But Thuban is a recolor of Sanctuary Keeper, but what I like about him is that he doesn't take any of your shit with regards to auto life, because he has a counter move that he will do whenever you attack him, and that includes with overdrives. And that counter not only does a pretty hefty amount of damage, but it also dispels everybody's auto life.
I think there's a couple of enemies who do that, because there were definitely some points where I was like, okay, I'm a little under leveled for this, but I think I just unlocked auto life, so I should be able to do this. And like, I used it and stuff. I think like Razia from Dark Mindy or whoever it is.
Yeah, that is actually
Dark Sandy.
I think one.
Yeah, like she used that and I just died and I was like, well, shit.
He's named after the cute dinosaur from Final Fantasy VI, apparently.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, Brachiorados.
Oh, it's like the Brontosaurus you fight in the forest.
Brachiosaur of Vlacarados, a Thuban. But yeah, he looks kind of cute in Final Fantasy VI. He's just a normal it's just a little dinosaur.
Is that the one that we get the fucking one of the nuts that we need from in FF7 for the Chocobo breeding? Remember that?
Yeah.
Am I crazy?
A carob nut.
Yeah, the carob nut. That's right. All right, it all comes together. There we go.
Reused assets. I can't believe it.
That's just my favorite Monster Arena fight, because I had a lot of fun, like kind of trying to strategize around his moves.
This really does feel like our Chocobo breeding episode, though.
Do you wait until like he almost has a turn and then apply auto life?
I mean, I think I was just using it for when he was about to do his big rainbow move, because I was at the sets I was at, I couldn't survive it. So
right. Okay, that makes sense. I feel like that's a good strat for it.
That's one thing I really like and respect about Final Fantasy X is there's so many points in this game where you're like, oh, I'm unstoppable. I'm a new god and no one can kill me. And then like you get into a battle and you're like, oh my god, I'm not shit. Like I'm getting my ass
Well, there's
kicked.
a set of bosses that will make you very much feel that way, and they are the Dark Dark Eons.
Yep.
The Dark Eons. Are they part of your speedruns, Camper? Do you have much experience with these guys, or do you just kind of forget them?
There is a category called Penance %, so we have to do that there.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Have you run Penance %?
I have, and it's awful for more or less one reason. So speedrun sends, Zamato everything. Dark Yojimbo is the worst when it comes to that.
I bet.
Because it's doable, but the thing with sorry, I don't know if we want to go into this. I don't know if we wanted to go in a particular order.
Yeah, tell you what, let's do them in acquisition order.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll get to my rant then.
Yeah, we'll say
so
we're just
excited
gonna
for
save
it.
that for the listeners. There you go, listener. How intriguing! You have to continue
gotta listen.
listening.
We got campers listicle.
And I think we've actually talked about one of them before, right?
Yes, we
Dark
did.
Valfor.
Yeah. I was in Baj Temple, and I was like, I'm missing 2 of the chests. And I was like, oh my God. And at this point, I thought that every single one of the chests was going to be blocked by a Dark Aeon. And I was like, oh my God, this is awful. And I was way, way, way under-leveled there. I think I ended up it was right after I got Yojimbo, and I was just like, well, I'm going to like grind up so that I have enough affinity with Yojimbo or whatever it's called, and just shoot my shot. And I was able to beat it that way. And I was like, I feel bad that I didn't beat it like, the non-cheese way. And after fighting these, like now, like the ones that I fought, I'm like, I'm fine with that. Like it's, yeah, listeners will remember that I made it all the way back into Besaid's what's it called? Cloister of Trials. Did the trials again, which I forgot how to do, and it took me a while to do. Then I got to the chest and it was already opened, and I had forgotten like
I didn't have
2
to do
other
it
ones
after
that are
all.
not blocked by Dark Eons, and I was like, God damn it.
I saw a guide online for the Dark Aeons, and I think it nicely split them up into like 2 categories. And there's like Dark Aeons that are beatable with pretty good stats, and Dark Eons that you should max your stats out for.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's kind of accurate, at least to the way that I was playing them, because there was a few, like I didn't go after any of them with the exception of Dark Valfor until after I had pretty much max stats. And some of them I would just roll over, like I would just steamroll them. And then other ones still were like kind of interestingly tricky in a way. So like this is like, I mean, I would say they're penance level bosses almost, really. Like they're tough.
Yeah. So shall we get into them?
Let's do it.
I think it's worth mentioning that these are not in the original version. These are essentially like the optional dungeons.
And later, right?
Yeah, it's like the optional dungeons in Final Fantasy 1 that we were talking about, where it was like
Optional
only
weapons in 7 as well, right? They were like, they had 2 more.
Yeah, it's like when they released the game in a different market, they also included these. So like kind of like DLC, but like the older like PS2 era
Some, like,
of DLC,
Game of the Year
where it was-
edition or whatever.
Yeah.
Final mix.
Yeah. Which, I mean, is there that much to say about Dark Valfor? I feel like its thing is that, like, as you attack it, so all of them have this, but as you attack them, they're overdrive gauge builds.
Do we want to get into, like, their encounter? Like, how we find them?
Oh, yes, let's do that,
I would
actually.
love to talk about these cutscenes.
Because there's a whole, like, there's framing devices around these that, like,
yeah.
sometimes you
Pretty
walk and
cool.
like, oh my god, I'm in a cutscene. What the fuck's happening? And I'm like,
That's
then you
right.
realize what's happening. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh god, no, I don't want to be here.
Yeah, so this one starts as
You
we're
have to
trying
walk
to get
all the way back from the beach, also, because that's really the only, there's no way to get to Besaid Village except from basically the port side of Besaid.
Yeah.
right. But as we're trying to get back into Besaid Village, a summoner, I guess these are
He
all
looks
summoners,
like
right?
the father we met.
Zook.
Yeah, he's kind of
Yeah.
a Zook looking fella.
Zook looking.
Zook suit riot.
I don't have his dialogue. Does anybody else have the dialogue?
He just says his
I think
dialogue
he says like
is
you
literally.
heathen.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think that. Oh yeah, infidel. Oh wait, is that it? Yeah.
Prepare to
Yeah.
charge.
Infidel, prepare to charge, and then he summons Dark Valfor. Which I'm curious, did they record new dialogue, or they just like pull this from other parts of the game?
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm not. There's definitely some reused dialogue, which we'll get into when we beat him, where we get the greatest callback in the entire game.
I couldn't remember what he says, and for some reason my mind went to like the Star Wars meme where it's like traitor, and then
treason.
Yeah, you're right. The callback. I actually found it on my Switch just now. But yeah, I would say like when he summons Valefor, because that's what he does immediately afterwards.
They're pretty. It's sick looking and like in badass and like just like it needs to like some bed rest. Like,
they all look like they're all very oily. Like they all just came out of like a fucking oil spill and like need to be toothbrush cleaned off.
You gotta get that I want to say Dove, but I don't think it's Dove. Dawn, the Dawn dish soap that like the whole marketing thing was like, we helped with an oil spill.
Yeah,
People
right.
were
Yeah,
using
exactly.
us in an oil spill, so now you can buy our product. Look at this cute
Valefor
duck.
looks like a duck that like would be in like the Gulf during the oil spill, and like you have to have Dawn to like clean
during
it
a
off.
huge tragedy.
So what the fuck is this thing doing here? I'm always wondering what the lore behind the Dark Aeons are.
Is there any lore behind the Dark Eons?
I think the lore behind it is basically like this. I think these events are triggered after the events in Bikanal.
Oh wait, no.
Or is it after Unalesca?
After we,
I think it's post Bavel because you're branded as traitors, and I think that's the earliest you can start encountering them.
Yeah, so it's pretty much like you have become traitors of Yevon, so like the church is out to get you, and this is like their elite force of like, I don't know.
They're
like,
elite four.
The ones who like, if a summoner gets out of line, not in the way that Seymour was getting out of line, but in like, the specific way that we were out of line. It's like, oh, we gotta have like the A team go and get them.
Seymour is the line.
the A team. I like the idea that like in the depths of Bavel, there's like a fucking like tokusatsu like Power Ranger style group. It's like the Ginyu Force from Dragon Ball Z, but it's like the Dark Summoners who are like, we're gonna go get this Yuna, and they all do their cool action stance.
We could fight Sin, but like they wouldn't have any of these cool Aeons for like later emergencies.
Right.
Sin, we can deal with Sin. 30 more years of that, it's fine.
Now I don't think there was anything too interesting about Dark Valefor, if I remember right, with the exception that like if it reaches overdrive, it's going to kill all your party.
Yeah, so this is like, remember when I said earlier that there is some stuff that is just going to kill you no matter what, pretty much?
Yeah.
Yeah, so most of these overdrives are like, use a type of damage formula where your defense stats don't even decrease it whatsoever. So the guide that I'm looking at actually tells you like what the damage range is, because your defense stats doesn't even matter.
So they can be really specific.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like around 50,000 damage.
Yeah, 50,000. Like, good lord. So auto life or beat it before it's able to overdrive, right?
Yeah.
Or I guess you
an
could
Aeon
summon an
tank.
Aeon. Yeah.
Do the old punching bag strat.
Yeah.
Sacrifice strat.
Zamato, it's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Or use Zamato, yeah.
The kind of interesting thing about Dark Valefor is that he can actually use Energy Ray on his regular turns. Because Valefor has like the 2 overdrives, and he can actually use one as a regular move in this. That one is actually like somewhat reasonably survivable though.
Yeah, I think that's something that is kind of well, I guess it's not an overdrive, but later on we do have some Dark Aeons that are using like their more powerful moves like pretty regularly. But I guess Valefor is the only one that has 2 overdrives, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Aside from like Maga Sisters, maybe.
I think it's just Valefor, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
I
anyway,
think that's right.
we kill Dark Valefor, and then we get a hilarious
God,
video
it's so good.
of just like everyone in Besaid like watching this all happen, where like, they see Yuna like coming back, and the summoner guy like falls down, and Yuna does like the Yevon bow, and so we get, I think it's the same line that we heard.
It's the same line, same recording and everything.
Where it's just stay away from the summoner, like when
Stay
Titus was trying
away
to
from the summoner.
So wait, is they telling Yuna to stay away from this new summoner?
Yeah, right.
Or are they telling this old man to stay away from her?
So then one of the children in the crowd says, "You're a bad man."
Oh,
And he
yeah.
just gets up and runs away, extremely goofy. It's so good.
Yeah, he does like a fucking Scooby-Doo runaway.
This feels like a kind of old west showdown. Like
Yeah.
the old Batman. Like, there's a new sheriff in town.
Like yeah, all these like scenarios seem like very FF10 fan fictiony. Like they're very like silly, like in a way.
Yeah.
Their Japanese names I just noticed instead of like Dark Veil 4 or Dark Ifrit is Heretic.
Oh,
Veil
really?
4, which is
That's
pretty
really cool. Yeah, that kind of changes the lore significance a
I
lot.
thought we were the heretics.
Maybe it's that's the Heretic Squad. They're like the Suicide Squad of
They're like the
Besaid.
Yiga clan from the from
Release
Breath
the
of
Seymour
Wild.
cut.
Yeah, cut 10 years off your sentence and
Yeah, right. Yeah. So I guess next in line would be Ifrit, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
that's in a hot place.
We found Ifrit in a hot place.
So back to
It's a Rihanna song.
last to Bicanel, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
We've
Yep.
already cleared out of cactuars. There's no cactuars left to play with. All
We're
just-
going
them all.
home.
Are we?
Well, I guess we're not going home, are we? Yeah, because it's just home is now big
Yeah,
crater.
we cannot go home. I left a lot of Albad primers in there. I haven't felt like going back to an old save file, getting them, transferring them through the completion sphere, which I could probably do, but there's no getting to home.
I like the scenario for this one is also very like Scooby-Doo goofy, where like you run up to where home used to be, and there's a owl bed standing out front, right? And they say, "My child is lost in the ruins of home. Please help me find my child." And you like walk up to where home used to be, but it's a giant fucking crater. It's just like a big hole in the ground.
Yeah.
And the owl bed's like, "Oh, where did she go?" And kind of like runs away from you.
You can also see like Dark Ifrit like chilling down there.
chilling
like,
down in that hole.
He's
Yeah,
like Spaghetti from Tim and Eric, just like hiding off in the distance, waiting to spook you.
yeah. Dark Ifrit's doing the spaghetti. A spaghetti.
Ifrit.
Yeah, Ifrit. Spooked ya. But like, and then we cut to another scene where like Titus and this owl bed are like looking around, and
He's
the
just
owl bed's
already
like,
summoned? He's just chilling there, already summoned?
"Yeah, I guess." And like the owl bed's like, "Oh, I'm gonna look over here. You go look in that cliff." Wink, wink. And like, so you walk up to it. Ifrit starts to jump up, and you see the summoner like transform from an owl bed into a summoner. I guess I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know why that was necessary, but like, apparently you can't summon without the appropriate robes on.
Yeah.
So they just, But anyway, Dark Ifrit jumps up and we get in a fight, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one's kind of like a white. I think this is really cool. All the like horned Aeons like have bloody tips on all their horns and shit. It's really fucking metal.
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, Ifrit's got like
neither.
red stained horns. It's really cool.
I noticed that with Dark Ixion, but not with Dark Ifrit. That's really cool.
Dark Ifrit has 1.4 million HP.
Yeah, these
Yeah.
just have HP. They got HPs for days.
Yeah, they're a bit of damage sponges, but at the same time, like, I think we were talking on the last episode where I thought, like, one of the Sin encounters had, like, 1.4 million, and then I was like, oh no, I was thinking of Dark Aeons. It only has, like, 140,000, which, like,
No.
given that we're doing an extra digit of damage now anyway, it's
Yeah, it's
more or less
nothing.
the same, but these things are, you got to strategize more with these. Like, it's not just, oh, I'm doing a lot more damage, like... They can
These
still
earlier
hit.
ones, I mean, they have less HP than a lot of the original creations. I mean, even without getting into like Nemesis, a lot of those creations have in the multiple millions. So
Right,
Yeah.
right. And I would say that like kind of like Dark Veil 4, Dark Ifrit doesn't really have that much going on with him, right? Like he's just kind of a straightforward fight. If you're near max stats, you can kind of mow him down.
Yeah, you don't even really need to be too like maxed out to be able to take them on. If you have like strong Aeons and stuff, like, it just becomes a time thing where, you can probably beat them a lot more optimally, but you could probably handle them.
yeah, there's not much to say. It's Ifrit. He has Ifrit's attacks, and they do a lot of damage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He counters, right? Every attack or something like that.
I
He
think-
counters
I think
every
this
offensive
one is-
attack with. Yeah, he just counters with his normal attack, I guess. Special move. Yeah, he uses Meteor Strike, I think, every other time, though.
I do like the ending sequence to this one.
This one's very good also.
Yeah, yeah. After you beat the the Dark Aeon, you see the summoner running away from you, like back toward those sand pits that we like the one that we found the Cactuar running around in,
Doing bowls.
doing bowls, and a fucking one of the Sandragoras like pops up out of it like right as he's getting to it, and then like he kind of is like, oh shit, and runs into it, and you hear like a terrifying sound, and the screen goes black, and you're like, oh shit.
Like a Sarlacc pit got Boba Fetted.
He just got murked. He got killed by that fucking Sandragora. So that's cool.
I do like that, like right before, like right when we get into the fight with Dark Ifrit, like Titus is like peeking over the cliff, and it like shows his goofy face, and then like the screen flashes red, which we like don't really see too much in this game, but like then like it's kind of like a horror movie like shot, because then we see like mean looking Dark Ifrit's face just like real gnarly.
Yeah, it's cool. It's a cool sequence. Now I guess the next one is kind of interesting, right? Because the next one would be Ixion.
Yeah.
This one actually has some cool stuff to it, I think.
We encountered him, I think, just north from the travel agency, right?
Right.
Which I figured out because I was avoiding that half of the map when I was doing everything else.
Yeah. And this is one that, much like the Ifrit one, it won't trigger unless you talk to like the summoner first. So you'll see someone in summoner, like in the robes that we are now suspicious of. We've been attacked by 2 of these people so far.
The script I'm reading calls him the shampoo bottle priest.
Shampoo bottle priest. Okay.
Yeah, but he's just like standing under a tower, and if you go up and talk to him or try to like recruit him to your blitzball team or whatever, he
hello sir, have you heard the good word?
If you talk to him, he says, "You heathen," and he starts to run away. And there's like a little cutscene where it shows our party running after him, and Kamari's like, not, what would you say, is in the back, right? And
he's kind of just looking around.
Yeah, and stops and looks around and looks specifically at one of the towers. I think it's the tower that has like the little overhang that we stood underneath at the end of the Thunder Plains. Yeah. And he kind of like looks at it for a moment, and it kind of gives us the feeling that like, oh, something's wrong. And Titus runs up beside him.
Something up there?
Yeah, something up there. And yeah, Lulu yells back, "Let's go!" like trying to go beat him. And then we see thunder strike the tower, and Dark Ixion like appears from it, right? It kind of like jumps down and starts running after us.
Oh no.
And in the meantime, did the armored summoner become 2 people somehow? Because when we catch up to where we're running, there are 2 people here now.
Yeah, there's like a child.
Yeah, there's like a priest and a nun, I guess.
Yeah, it's like one of the that were like running around in the temples.
Oh yeah, one of those little kids who loves candy or whatever.
Yeah, right. but they sick Dark Ixion on us, and we get in a fight with it.
Yeah.
Which I noticed this is the first one that I was like, oh, I need to pay attention a little bit, because I thought I lost for a moment. I was like, oh shit, I fucked up. I'm gonna game over on Dark Ixion, and I thought I fucked it up. But I swear it did one of its like super moves, and it didn't kill my character, and I was like, what? Did I just get through it? What the fuck? But I think it was like it's
Thor's hammer or something.
It's like it wasn't the Thor's hammer. It ended up being like its secondary move, where it kind of like does that little boomerang.
Yeah, arrow spark, because I think that only targets one person.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I basically let it have a turn when I didn't mean to let it have a turn. Also, let me ask y'all a question. Are there ever instances where like the Dark Aeon will have a full overdrive meter and then not use it?
Well, the interesting thing is, I guess, slight spoilers, we're going to fight this one twice.
Yeah.
And in the first fight, he doesn't actually use Thor's hammer.
Right.
That's what happened, because I let it get all the way built up, and I was like, oh shit, I'm gonna fucking die. like this is it. I let it have a turn with full overdrive, and it used Arrow Spark, and I didn't remember because I haven't used Ixion in a long time. So I was like, oh, Arrow Spark is its overdrive, I'm fucked. And then nobody died, and I was like, that doesn't seem right. like
that was my confusion. That was my confusion when we were talking about Energy Ray and Energy Blast or whatever, and how like I was like, oh yeah, the Aeons all use their overdrives, and I was like, wait, Arrow Spark isn't actually an overdrive. It just uses it as its overdrive before the second fight.
Yeah, I was wondering about that, because I saw that happen, and I was like, did the game glitch and just give me a free one? Like the game felt bad for me.
This game, it might feel bad for you. It will never give you a break. That is what I've learned in my like 150 hours of playing it.
So this is interesting. Apparently, Dark Eons is unique in that you can actually flee from it.
Oh, interesting.
Which is actually handy if you want to farm AP on the first encounter with it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a good alternative to like Don Tomberry, for example, if you don't have it unlocked, because you can flee from that. And I think the way that the first phase works is that it always counters an attack. So it's pretty much just lap with someone and then run with someone else.
Right. And like we were saying, there are 2 phases to this one, right? So like once we beat it, the child summoner that's there kind of like, it doesn't like fuse with it. It kind of just stands beside Dark Eons, and they start like teleporting all around the place, and you have to like run up to it and interact with it before it teleports away, I guess. Like, it's very odd.
I think what it's supposed to be is it's like they appear where there's a lightning strike, and then you have to go up and run before they disappear again for the next lightning strike. I think that's what it was trying to like do.
Okay, I was like, what is going on here? This is very odd. But yeah, you interact with it and you fight it again.
Yeah, and when you fight it again, I think this is now when it doesn't counter every attack, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
So it's much easier because at this point you're like, oh, there's no downside to me just doing like, quad or however many 9s of damage that I can do.
Right, yeah, you're ready to go fucking ham on it.
Another interesting thing about Dark Eons is when it uses like a lightning attack, a black magic attack, it uses Thundaja, or however you say it.
Yeah,
like it's
Thundaja,
like
really,
yeah, it's one that we can't
For
use
the AP grinding, because it will likely do like 5 9s of damage.
Wow.
I'm pretty sure the animation for it is just the same as Thundaga, but
yeah.
I didn't know that this game had any of the 4th tier ones in there. That's interesting.
I feel like maybe another boss might have used a 4th tier. Like it's one that we don't get it, but I want to say maybe Leska used something like that, but I can't remember for sure.
Huh. How about that? There's no scenes after this one, really, are there? Like, I think you just kind of beat Dark Eons and that's it.
Yeah, you get 2 master spheres, or I did at least.
Yeah.
Thundaja is apparently non-elemental in this. That's weird.
That
really?
actually, that's a good point, because I was like, oh, fighting Ixion, better use Null Shock. And I used Null Shock, and then Thundaja hit, and I was just like,
still went through.
I still died. I was like, oh.
They're like, well, we put in these way too good things that can just block all elemental damage, so I guess we have to make all the super bosses, even though they're elemental enemies, we have to make all their attacks non-elemental.
So I wonder if, I guess it probably also can't be reflected. It's probably like Ultima in that sense, but I wonder if like it was used on Dark Eons, if it would absorb it or if it would take damage from it. Because I was like, I don't want to use Reflect because that would heal it and probably heal it a lot.
Oh yeah.
But that's interesting.
So I guess that's it for Dark Eons, right? Like that's...
Yeah.
So there's not really anything like too fun or interesting that happens after you beat it. It's pretty much you're just done with it. You get your rewards.
Experience.
And then we move on to Lake Macalania for Dark Shiva, which has one of the goofiest ending sequences for a Dark Aeon to me, because I was a fucking idiot when it happened. But so Dark Shiva, also pretty easy. I don't think Dark Shiva has a lot of HP. Like,
no, but this is where I would like to talk about the luck stat, because this is the first one where it becomes pretty relevant.
Let's do it, because this becomes huge. Yeah.
So let me set the stage here a little bit. Throughout most of the game, you've probably not really paid much attention to the luck stat, because there are very few luck nodes on the sphere grid to begin with, and even fewer fortune spheres to actually activate them.
A lot of people don't even like really know what boosting your luck really does. My guess is that it's like increases your chance for a critical, maybe. But
it does do that. But what I didn't know till recently is that it actually also affects your hit chances.
So different than like aiming. It's like,
which was very odd to me when I found that out, considering this is one of the few Final Fantasy games that has like dedicated evasion and accuracy stats, but yet it still has another stat that also affects your evasion and accuracy.
that's a lot of numbers.
It is a lot of numbers, yeah. So the way it essentially works, and I have this pulled up because I think it's very interesting, is there's essentially two different calculations where the evasion and accuracy calculation will come out with a number that's like between 25 and 100%. If your accuracy is high enough, then you'll have 100% hit rate based on that. Now, no matter how high your accuracy is, it's never going to be any higher than 100 after that first calculation. And then the luck stat happens.
Okay, all right.
So what then happens is it takes whatever number came out of the first calculation, does that plus your luck stat and minus the enemy's luck stat.
Okay.
So if the enemy has a higher luck stat than you, then you have a chance of missing no matter how high your accuracy is.
Oh, that's so weird.
Now, this has, for the most part throughout the game, not been a relevant concern because almost every enemy in the game has very low luck stats. You're going to have more luck than almost everything you're fighting. Even like Nemesis has a luck stat of 1.
I did notice that. I noticed that when I was looking up Nemesis. I was like, what?
Very unlucky. This man was very bad at making lucky characters.
So,
yeah, that's why
they
stars
made
were
this
able to take them down.
Put like no stats for it on the sphere grid, made it really hard to level up, and almost completely irrelevant for most of the game. And then you get to the Dark Eons, and they will have actual luck stats that are quite high.
Yeah. Like, I think naturally during the course of the game, you get like your luck stat into like the 20s?
If that, yeah.
If that, yeah.
At base, it's like
I'm
just
looking at
under
like
20.
all the original creations. I think most of them have like a luck of like 15 maybe.
Yeah, which is again is lower than what you have by default. So it's not an issue.
Valfor has 48, which is a lot.
So I got
Ifrit
mine.
has 27. That's more than we're used to. And then Shiva has 73.
Yeah.
73. Yeah, this is the first one where it becomes like if you haven't leveled it up at all, it's actually quite difficult to hit with regular attacks.
I got my accuracy, my luck up to 108, I think, where I left it off. And at that point, it was good enough to hit any Dark Aeon, but not hit just any Dark Aeon every time. Like, I'd still have some misses going on certain ones.
50% of the time, it works every time.
Yeah. So, like, having a luck stat of like 20 or whatever your luck stat is going to be kind of naturally if you just fill out the luck nodes that are on the grid, is if you're going to be missing every goddamn time on these Aeons. Like, you're just not going to be able to touch them even with max accuracy.
Oh my god. I think Yojimbo has the highest.
Yojimbo is a motherfucker.
Oh no. Dark Mindy.
Yeah.
Mindy?
Yeah.
She's ridiculous. She's impossible to hit.
130. And Yojimbo has 140. Yeah, right. She's got the most. Okay.
Yeah.
I will say, on top of like the luck stat, more or less, I would presume people would be using overdrives to kill things. There's a certain point with the Dark Eons where you notice that your overdrives aren't doing as much. So you'll try to do like an attack there, and then you just miss all of a sudden. You're like, here we are.
Mm-hmm. You know, that was interesting because I was using like Titus's like slice and dice, right? Which like he is doing every time full 9s. Like when he like attacks normally, it's always 5 9s. But his slice and dice would only do like 20 sometimes, or maybe even like less. And I'd be like, he's putting in less numbers doing an overdrive than a normal attack.
The reason for that is that this is actually a specific property of the celestial weapons, is that they ignore enemy defense. That's pretty handy, and only it's not something you can customize. It's just the celestials that do this. But that specific property only applies to regular attacks and not to overdrives.
Ah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So against enemies with very high defense, overdrives are actually not that good, which applies to some of the Dark Eons.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely some of these. Absolutely. So yeah, I guess like that is the interesting thing about Dark Shiva is being like the first one who has this really high luck stat. We said in the 70s, I think.
73.
Yeah. So and you can hit them with lower luck than they have. Like I said, mine was like what 30 below Yojimbo when I was fighting him, and I was able to hit him not every time, but I was at least able to connect. So I would say if you have like 50 luck, you're probably all right on Dark Shiva.
And it's also just like anything else, especially with some of these fights, like it's still very doable, especially if you have like auto life and auto phoenix. Like it's just a matter of how long it's going to take. So obviously you want to hit every turn because it's basically you're just fighting a damage sponge and you have to do as much damage as quickly as possible. So if you don't have like full luck, you're just kind of like, it's just taking you longer.
The thing about Dark Shiva also is that she is incredibly fast. Her regular attack is a rank 1 action, which is the fastest possible. That's also what Quick Hit was in the original NA version, which is why it was so OP.
Oh.
So essentially she can do quick hits.
Damn. Yeah, that's wild.
The actual encounter of this fight is kind of, the setup is kind of funny, right? We just approach like the temple from the outside, like before we actually go into, the area where we had like the kind of wedding reception-y type of thing where everyone was gonna like, oh yay, like the wedding's gonna happen or whatever.
Yeah, right.
But I guess a Guado comes out and like greets you.
It looks like the Guado that summoned fucking Defender X on us.
Yeah, it looks like
it might have been.
Yeah, it looks like one of Seymour's lackeys.
Goons. Yeah.
But not Trommel, because he's just being a sad sap at the far plane.
Yeah, right, yeah.
But yeah, he's like, fool, to come back to Makalania Temple, a traitor. And then I guess you have like a fight like on the ice bridge.
Yeah,
which is cool.
And then after like I said, like I guess the luck thing is really the deal, and the speed is with Shiva, but like not too many crazy tricks. So once we beat Dark Shiva, this is the part that I thought, I was like, what the fuck is going on? We literally have like the exact same thing from when we were here last time, where Guado just start pouring out of the temple and chasing us down that ice bridge, and I was like, well, I guess I'm supposed to kill them all this time or something, like, because I don't want to run away from it and then have to come back and then fight Dark Shiva again. Because I know some of the Dark Aeons have like, if you run away from their second form or whatever and you come back, you have to do the first form again. And I was like, well, I don't want that to happen. So I just stood there and fought him for a while and like was trying to get around them and go inside the temple. And I was like, what the fuck is the deal?
Maybe that would be a good way to just bring up your kill count for for Don Tomberry grinding. Like,
sure.
I'm just gonna, because like I'm regretting not doing like the sin scale like grinding early in the game when we were on like the boat or whatever. It's like, oh, maybe this would be a good way to do it. Just like fucking kill Guado nonstop.
I do have to say, the absolute balls on these guys who see you take down this 1,000,000 HP super boss and then come in with their 1,000 HP and are like, we can take them.
Yeah, because they're not stronger either. They're just the same enemies that we fought the first time.
It's like that meme that was going around from like Pokemon the first movie, where it's like Ash just running up to fucking Mewtwo and like throwing a punch and Mewtwo just blocks it. It's like, what did you think you were gonna do, Ash?
Well, I saw a meme where it was like Mewtwo knew he was gonna get owned, so he had to block.
Is it because Ash is fucking jacked?
It had all the stats of like a bird Pokemon that weighs like 700 pounds or whatever, just like on his like arm, and he's like lifting it with like no problem.
Like what? Pikachu weighs like 20 pounds, and he's like caught him so many times,
constantly
like
on his head. Yeah.
So that's a weird scene, and like we literally just end it by escaping. Like you just escape. You just follow the bridge to outside and it's done. You've beaten Shiva, which is very weird because there's no like fanfare or anything. There's no like, oh, we got away or anything. It's just, you just go to the next screen.
Yeah, we didn't get a screen like Auron saying like, that's enough or whatever. Or, like, let's go. Like,
very weird.
I do actually wonder if you go back in, can you restart like the chase sequence, or they're just like, eh?
I was thinking about that, and I didn't try it, but I would think not. And my rationale for that would be you have to have some way to get the destruction sphere at the end of the game if you didn't get it
fair.
already.
Yeah,
I think.
yeah.
I don't know.
That's what I thought as well.
Yeah, I didn't actually try it, but that was my like logic.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Who's next? Who's next on the chopping board? We're going through them.
I believe that would be Bahamut.
Bahamut.
Baby.
This is Dark Titus's Blitzball manager or whatever as we call him, right?
This is DBB.
Yeah, DBB. Dark Baby Bahamut.
We would always call
Baby
as
Bahamut.
a little background. Yeah, every time I would see like the kid who was Bahamut, I would just call him BB. Baby Bahamut.
Yeah, we're trying to like distinguish like the Aeon Bahamut from like the vision of the faith that
like,
Titus always
one,
has.
yeah.
So we're like, all right, yeah, he'll be called BB.
Maester Eminem.
Yeah.
So this is basically just back in Unileska's chambers because, again, this
Right.
is one we don't want to miss. Like Titus's sun sigil or whatever that's in here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Was it that? Is that what it was, or was it like a Mars crest?
Yeah,
or something?
that is. That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's-
Or
it's
well,
just hanging out in
it's
the
the
room.
sun crest. But
Depending
Yeah.
on which version you're playing.
Yeah, the sigil. Right, that's with the chocobo shit. But yeah, he's just waiting for us. I think in the final destination room.
Yeah. So this one, I actually had to employ some strats for because he's a little bit different than the other ones, I think, and that mostly is because of the attack impulse. And so I don't. Is it a counter? Hold on, I gotta just look it up because it seems like he would sometimes use it against me and sometimes would not use it against me.
He
Yeah.
counters with impulse, correct?
Oh, after every 5 player attacks.
Yes.
Okay.
And I guess he also has can he petrify as well?
So that's the thing is impulse petrifies and shatters on the same fucking turn.
Woof.
Yeah.
So like the first time I went to fight him, I was just like, uh-oh. Like that's not good.
Yeah.
So make sure you got
Some of
stoneproof.
these- stoneproof is definitely one of the things that I had on all my armors.
I was very lucky because I have like 3 armors, equipped to my 3 party members. And thank goodness I never put a 4th slot on them because I was like, man, if I didn't have that empty slot for like stoneproof or whatever, I would have to make 3 new sets of armor like with all of these like skills and
Yeah.
everything on them to like do this battle.
If there was a remaster of this game, I would love for an item that just allows you to craft a slot.
Sure, yeah, or like remove something from one.
I would like one that just lets you warp to save spheres from other save spheres instead of being like, okay, well, I need to go to the comm lands again.
Final showdown with shit.
Which is interesting. I realized after we talked about that, in the I think in the Japanese version, Sin is known as Shin, which kind of makes sense as like Shin Megami Tensei. I think that's like
Shin Godzilla.
yeah.
Well, also
yeah,
there's no C sound as well.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I was like, it's kind of cool that he
Wait, wouldn't
calls
that
it
mean
the
like
Japanese
death,
name.
basically?
Yeah, good, yeah.
Well, it makes you think.
Really dinks you dink.
Bahamut.
Anyway,
Bahamut, yeah. So Impulse to me was like the big, not a challenge so much as just like oh shit, I'm fucking glad I haven't customized my weapon or my armor all the way.
yeah.
And that's when I use my Dark Matters to make a ribbon for Yuna's armor as well.
Yeah.
So I have a ribbon drop for Yuna. Like, I don't
Really?
know how I got that, but I got an armor that has ribbon on it already, and I've never had to craft it. I'm like, ooh, that's nice.
Yeah, some of the boss, like the Dark Eons and the species creations and stuff, they'll drop like really interesting equipment.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I'm just looking at the it uses impulse also slows your character, right?
Unless you have auto haste.
Yeah,
Well-
Impulse does a lot.
Okay, auto
Yeah.
haste, okay, yeah, because it also ignores slow proof and ribbon, which is
And
real
the rough thing is it also casts all of the breaks on you.
Yeah.
Yes,
Like armor
yes.
break and all that, which is rough because you can't even protect against that with ribbon or anything. So you just have to dispel it.
Okay, I was gonna say, weird thing about that is you don't Asuna it, you have to dispel it.
Yeah.
Which is usually like a thing that we use, because I've always thought like, oh, okay, Asuna is for our characters, dispel is for the enemies, right? Like that's how that works. But like what's interesting is dispel gets rid of status effects. So if you have like a good status effect on yourself, and then you get armor broken and you need to dispel, you'll also dispel the good things that you have on yourself as well.
Luckily, for some reason, Dispel doesn't dispel auto life, so that helps.
Okay, that is good. I was wondering about that.
And also something to note about Dispel: if you use the what was it, the one mix, the Ultra Null All, it does not remove like the cheer buffs or aim buffs either.
Right.
Oh,
That's
nice.
really nice.
Yeah, so this is actually one of the few fights where, for a lot of it, I did actually like to try to stay alive with my characters as much as possible. Just not when you use Mega Flare, because again,
yeah, right. So your Aeon blocker, fucking use your auto life.
Yeah.
You just got to deal with it.
Yeah. I will say there's some interesting strats for this one in particular, in like a notes and model run, because the way that we went about doing it is essentially we use an ability called Sentinel, which I feel like is very underrated.
I don't know that I've ever used it.
Essentially, that makes it so that particular character that uses it will tank an attack for another character, presuming it's like a single target move.
Yeah.
And so with Titus's weapon, he has a counterattack ability. And so when Bahamut goes in for an attack, Titus tanks it, and he will counter that. And that does not count towards the counter for impulse. So you essentially get a free hit in there.
That's cool. That's
awesome.
cool.
It's
I think
that old technique of you can't counter the counter.
Yeah. Because that's Titus's celestial weapon has like 100% counter like stat on it, doesn't it? Or like a
it's something like that. I've never seen him not counterattack where he could do it.
Yeah, it's really nice. I mean, I put it to good use on Penance, that's for sure. We'll get to there. But yeah, Dark Bahamut. Fucking good fight. Good. What a champ. Good job.
Good fight.
Oh, we got a few to get through still.
Oh yeah.
Whom's next?
Anima.
Okay, my favorite thing about Dark Anima is the way that we summon it. We have to do Waka's blitzball throwing game again on Mount Gagazet. And when we win it, Anima just like fucking raises up, chains out of the ground and everything at the entrance of Mount Gagazet, which is not where we are at the time. And we can just like walk by it and it's fine. Like, we can just be like, hey, buddy.
That's where the Ronso kid and like mom were hanging out.
Not anymore, they ain't.
Ancient's nowhere to be found either.
Yeah. I just like, I don't know. I
wish he was there. Like, would you like to hear a story about Dark Anima?
Yeah, we're just like chilling out, listening to his story. Fucking Dark Anima's just screaming in the background and freaking out.
It's horrifying. Yeah.
Like it seems pretty chill. I like that we can walk right up to it too. Like you can pretty much get like within a couple feet of it, and it's fine.
Selfie.
Get a selfie with it. Yeah, just chill out. Dark Anima, man.
They caught me screaming.
It's the chillest of the Dark Aeons. I enjoy that about it.
Is this just like Seymour's mom but evil?
Yeah, what's the deal with that? Why is it? Yeah, no one summons it really. Like it's just here,
just vibing,
just vibing. Now this one I had a little bit of trouble with, if I remember.
It's weird they have to redo the first trial to summon this. Like, why would you do that?
Yeah.
You know what's funny about that, and this is kind of like a tangent towards Nemesis, I guess. If you fail like throwing like the blitzball and you get into an encounter, those encounters are set. So it's like you'll always receive like encounter 1 there, encounter 2 there. It goes in a cycle, so you could use that to capture 10 of each things in Gagazet.
Oh, that's awesome.
Wow.
But why would you ever want to do that?
Yeah, I feel like that's probably way slower, right?
I'm sorry, I'm reading the Wikipedia for it.
I think most people have trouble with the Gravija move because of all the stats effects it applies.
Yeah, that's right.
It's really handy to have Ribbon on at least one character for
the
this.
same attack as Sin has with the Mega Graviton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this one inflicts Doom, Slow, Sleep, Dark, and Silence. And I mean, the big ones to worry about there, I guess, are Sleep and Doom.
Death Proof does not work. That's wild.
Yeah, that's also a thing. It has the pain attack that just does instant death, and it's like you can't even with Death Proof, it will hit.
Do you just like zombie yourself and just like, or I mean, it will.
I don't even think that would help at all.
I just had one character have, because the thing is, like, at this point we're so fast that we're gonna get multiple turns before Anima gets one. So like, if everybody's asleep except for your one character with the ribbon, you're pretty much guaranteed that that character's turn is coming up next. And for me, it was Yuna, so I would just look at my turn order, see who is next, Asuna them, and then when they get up, they'd Asuna the third character, and I'd continue on. And like, I guess I didn't think the battle was hard, but like, dude, Anima has so much HP. Like, this battle takes forever.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where it's like, it goes on for so long that it'd be easy to like forget about.
Yeah,
then,
you want to be consistent.
Or like forget a step and you're like, oh no, I forgot to have auto life queued up, and now it's just game over.
Yeah, and then every once in a while, it's gonna cast Oblivion on you, right? Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, well, I'm just gonna Aeon tank. So I'll Aeon tank Oblivion. It's gonna come up a couple times, whatever. Because the other ones I didn't even have to do it because I was able to do enough damage that they never got their overdrive off, except for, I guess, Dark Eons, who was going to, but didn't get the opportunity. Anyway, but he got to do it a lot, and I like by the end of this battle, I had like 2 more Aeons left. I was like, uh-oh, like we're really getting down to it here. So like it took a while. He took out a lot of Aeons. But yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing is like you need to watch out for the status effects. You need to have somebody with a ribbon on to be able to do this battle, right?
Real pain in the ass.
A real pain.
Because he uses an attack called Pain, I see.
That's true. I've been looking at the wiki, and apparently I didn't even know that there was a no sphere grid playthrough. And one person, one confirmed, like, someone who was able to beat Dark Anima without using the sphere grid.
Oh my god.
How even?
I think a lot of it is like just stat pumping the Aeons.
Oh,
because you don't need to grid for that. You just
that's like they don't technically use the sphere grid, but you can still level your stats.
Just feed them all the spheres. I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Soul level 1 run of Dark Souls, where it's like you don't not level up, you only level up like the Pyromancer Flame to its max thing, and then you're doing a ton of damage at Soul level 1.
So yeah, that's Dark Anima. Who's next? We had just one more?
Yo Jimbo.
Oh no, 2 more. Oh, Yo Jimbo.
More, yeah.
We forgot.
Man.
Yeah,
all
let's do
right.
the optional boys. I guess the optional dark ones. Dark of the optional ones. Yeah.
So this one's a weird one. I remember before the podcast, I was saying that there was a couple things in this that I didn't understand how it works exactly. And so I was kind of curious because I was just like, what is going on with this? Okay, Dark Yojimbo is the one I was thinking of. Cavern of the Stolen Faith again. Go all the way to the back room. Try to leave, and a summoner pops up. Summons Yojimbo, and he very like swankily like walks out of the hallway. It's very cool.
Yeah, very scary.
Yeah, and we're allowed to fight him there.
Another shampoo bottle priest in this group.
I'm wondering if they mean Mr. Clean, because like the first guy was just like a bald guy.
Unless it's just because he looks like he has the weird like padded like suit, the padded like priest armor, like the guys you see at like the wedding.
Yeah, I don't know. Weird.
So Dark Yojimbo always gets the first attack. And I felt like this is the... So I tried to fight Dark Yojimbo after doing quite a bit of power leveling, but not like max stats, right? Like I was like, look, I got like mid 200s attack. I got like 200 defense. I can take this MF on. And he just ruined my shit immediately. Just like, fuck you. Just like did one Wakizashi, killed everybody immediately. And I was just like, oh shit, it's gonna be like that,
so
huh?
This is the first of the Dark Eons that just has like a regular attack that you can't like the other ones have had attacks that can one-shot you quite handily with their overdrives and whatnot, but you know when those are coming.
Yeah.
Dark Yojimbo can do it, like, even when you have maxed out defense and quad 9 HP, he can one-shot you with Wakizashi.
Yeah, it's insane. And that hits everybody. So, which is very weird, like... I don't know. It's very odd. It's a very odd fight in that way.
So
that
it definitely is recommended to like come in with somebody with like is it first strike that you would need for this?
First strike.
Yeah.
First strike is the only way to get over because I guess he always ambushes you, and even with initiative. So first strike is the only way to get the first hit in.
So you first strike and then I guess immediately auto life.
Well, so what I did for this was use the alter null, because with that you actually get the 5 times cheer, and that gives you just enough to like live.
That's right.
From Wakazashii.
Actually, I think that's what I did. Actually, when I beat it, yeah, that's right. Which I mean, I just read it online, but yes. So
Yes.
the thing I don't understand. Well, hold on. Let's explain first that so once you have enough luck to hit him, because he is incredibly evasive, also has a lot of defense, so if you use your overdrives, you're not doing as much damage. But once you're actually able to hit him and like kind of consistently beat him, you find that you beat him and he runs away, but you have to fight him again, right? Like you have to like chase him down the halls of the cavern and fight him again 5 times, no less. So like you have to keep going through him. And the thing I was wondering about is I was reading online about like some strats for him, how to beat him consistently, blah, blah, blah. And it said that as you keep going, his overdrive bar increases at a faster rate every time. But it didn't for me, I don't think. I think it just kept, because I never got to the point where he was able to use Zanmato, even on the last one. And I was like...
Well, I mean, if he did, you'd have died.
Well, yeah. So that's the thing, too, is that Zanmato does not care if you have auto life on. It just ruins you.
It dispels auto life. So if you see that, then you have to summon an Aeon, basically.
But yeah, I never got to...
You have to summon Yojimbo for the ultimate betrayal.
Interestingly about this one is that this one actually, Zanmato is not coded such that it like ignores your defense. It just has such a high damage constant that even at like 5-9 HP max out defense, it will still one-shot you.
Really?
Oh, man.
I think it says it is just coded as 5/9s, not just like game over. So like I don't know.
Oh wow.
Yeah. It's not coded as an insta kill, but it is effectively an insta kill.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Another thing about it is if you try to save, because there's a save sphere here, it resets and you have to start from the first one.
Yeah.
Which is annoying if you're just trying to do this, but if you're trying to farm like dark matter or master spheres, like, which I don't really know why you would do that really, but you can do it here.
So back in the day, on my first playthrough, the guide that I was using was telling me that I needed ribbon on everybody for some reason, even though you really don't. And it told me to essentially just keep farming Dark Yojimbo until you get the right armor drop from him. I must have fought him, like the first fight with him, like 100 times, and I never got it. I eventually just got so many Dark Matters that I could just craft it on for everybody.
Yeah.
That rules. Yeah, I wish that, a lot of these Aeons that we're fighting too, they all seem to drop dark matter as well. That's just like a thing that they drop. Which, like, you need so many for a ribbon, though, that, like...
Yeah, you need to
even
max
with
it out
fighting all the
ribbon.
bosses that give dark matter, I still don't have enough.
Yeah, it doesn't seem worth it.
Yeah.
It's not. Please don't do it. I didn't do it this time. What I did do this time is not remember that one of the fights with him is missable.
Oh no!
And that's really annoying.
Yeah.
Because so what happens is one of the I believe it's the third fight in the sequence, you actually need to run to like one of the dead end rooms and fight him there.
Which I like to point out that he's like cowering in the corner, like he has his hands up over his face and is looking at the corner like he's trying to hide like a little kid, where he's like, if I don't see Titus, he doesn't see me.
So if you don't do that, it will just let you move on and do the 4th and 5th fights, and then you'll get a slightly different cutscene where the wiki says it as like if you miss the one fight, then the summoner runs away in fear. And if you did the other one, then he like peacefully leaves.
Yeah.
And so he doesn't count as beaten if you didn't do the third fight. And if you go back in, he's just there again, and you have to start from the first goddamn fight.
Yep.
Hopefully you get good ribbon drops or something. Jeez.
Yeah.
So yeah, I didn't know about that. And,
but yeah, on that fandom, on the wiki fandom or whatever, it does say that like each each progressive fight, his overdrive bar increases by a larger amount to where it says like the last one is like 26% at once or something like that. But that's what I was saying is like I never saw that, so I don't know what the conditions are that actually cause it to happen or not.
Yeah, I mean, I was definitely noticing it when I was fighting him.
Really?
I wonder, Mrzwanzig, when you were doing it, what platform are you doing? Because maybe it's something that was changed in the Switch.
I was doing it on PS3, so maybe.
Maybe so.
I really like just this battle where like the overdrive gets, you know, more and more filled, and then if he gets the full overdrive, he'll just use Zanmato on you. Like, I like that in terms of how Yojimbo that we have actually works, where it's like if he dies in battle, it like dips his motivation to ever use that like significantly, and you have to like have a good relationship with like Yojimbo. Like it's like a Stardew Valley kind of like you're trying to marry him in Stardew Valley or something. Because it's like if I lost 4 battles in a row with Yojimbo, he would not use that goddamn move.
Yeah, trusting Yojimbo to use Zanmato 5 times in a row is ridiculous.
Oh yeah,
like in the run,
this is the thing.
Like the amount that we give him, because we're short on gil. The amount that we give him, we tend to do him last because every time he uses Zanmato, you get a little more like affection with Yojimbo. With the amount that we have and the amount of gil that we can give him, we're looking at like roughly a 9% chance of it going through 5 times.
Oof.
And that's
Jeez,
rough.
Yeah, that's not good odds.
I'd also like to say this is just another battle. Like if you're doing this after Bahamut, like I was, you're probably already there. But Daigoro, his dog, will petrify and shatter a character if they're not protected by it.
That happened to me, and I was like, well, I'm gonna reset now.
Yeah, exactly.
So again, half stone proof.
So let's see. Anything else about Yojimbo?
Nah, not really.
All right, the Dark Magus Sisters. This one's fun because it has like a mini game associated with it, so that's exciting.
I wish I knew that when I accidentally ran into them.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mentioned in a previous episode I accidentally just found out about the Magus Sisters just collecting monsters because I was like trying to get all the dragon types to get a certain item for the monster arena.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I got the Mihen High Road cleared out. Oh yeah, like Mushroom Rock is just around the corner. I'll just head north. And the how you encounter the Mega Sisters, or there's like a nun and like a little smaller, like a child nun, just chilling basically at the exact spot where we like where Waka and like was talking to Seymour, like, sir, what is your bestie doing here, sir, or whatever.
Pretend you didn't see it.
Yeah, you didn't see it.
Which is kind of the mini game here, right? Like you basically, it starts like a running away game, and I think depending on how efficiently you run away, you can like fight each of the Mega Sisters one at a time instead of all at once.
Yeah,
which like basically the gist of it.
For me, with like 108 luck and like max everything else, was still fucking necessary. Like I still needed to run away and fight them one at a time, because like the first battle that I got into was just a motherfucker. I was just like, oh my god, they're so strong.
Yeah, they're pretty ridiculous. I did fight them together on this playthrough that I did. On the first time I did it, I actually did the minigame, but I figured I'd challenge myself this time and actually fight them together, and it's pretty rough.
Yeah, because like, do they start out with an overdrive?
They do.
Yeah, so,
that happened to me. I was like, what is happening? Oh no, there's 3. It's cool because like I think the camera like angles up and you just see all 3 of them like waiting on the ledge of like the cliffside, and they just like do that fucking like super attack. Like this is the most like superhero overdrive thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Just get delted because that attack takes a while.
Yeah, it make you watch the whole
Delta
thing.
attack is one of the attacks where it's like it's so strong that no matter how strong you are, it will kill you. So you have to summon an Aeon. And the thing about this one as well is that if you just summon like Anima or whatever, then since they all get separate turns, Anima's probably just gonna die from like the other 2 taking their turns, and then the last one's gonna use Delta attack.
Right.
So you actually need to summon like the Magus Sisters against the Dark Magus Sisters so that they like two of them get killed, and then the last one tanks the Delta attack for you.
Yeah, that's
and that's
so
basically
rough.
the only way to do it. There is apparently a way you can actually kill them like before they get a turn, but it's like a very specific setup, and you need to like. I saw a video of it. It was like actually using like magic.
Weird.
It was odd, but
That's wild.
Also, something interesting, because I don't think it applies to any of the other Dark Aeons. This particular fight, if you fight them all at once, I believe. I don't know if it applies to the single one, but you can get ambushed by them also, just by off
Really?
chance. Because I think you can also preemptive them. It's kind of like that type of situation where it's
okay.
like having an initiative weapon is highly recommended for this.
We just have
particular
to
one.
keep step count up to this point. to
Yeah,
ensure
exactly.
But yeah, so once they begin chasing us, if we're able to like get up into Mushroom Rock Road itself and start running back toward where the old Albed compound was or whatever when they fought Sin, a little like mini game starts where they start to chase us, right? And like the game, and like it's funny because like there's like an alarm going off the whole time that like shows different colors based on how close they are to catching you. So it's like it's kind of goofy. I like that like it has a little bit of like levity to it.
Yeah.
But when we get halfway through, Cindy will drop out and just like not be able to continue on. It's just like huffing and puffing. Is like, oh, you go on without me, keep going. And so like the other two chase you. And if you make it all the way to the elevator at the end without them catching you, they'll separate as well, and you'll have a chance to fight Sandy one-on-one.
Nice.
Which for me was like a little tough because even Sandy, who is not Mindy with all that luck, was still dodging all the time. Like it was still kind of difficult to hit her.
yeah, the thing about these is like they have both high luck stats and high evasion stats. So
Right.
they're rough.
Yeah, she was pretty tough. I'm trying to think what else she did. Yeah, she could also use Razia on you as her. So
Yeah.
that's the thing, is like they have their normal special attacks, I guess, as their overdrives if they're encountered one-on-one. And Razia will dispel auto life and then just kill you. So like you can't come back from it from there. But if you have auto Phoenix, then you can still raise a character after that. So
Right.
so this one was just more like making sure I'm taking my time, keep people healed if they need to be, and doing it like a real battle, like not just like pulverizing through it. You know what I mean? But yeah, Dark Mindy though, the second one, holy shit, the evasion on this character, like the luck and evasion on Dark Mindy, insane. Because I was like, look, I took care of Yojimbo and like wasn't too bad. I'm fine. Like this should not be any problem. And like it was like 1 out of every like 8 swings would actually connect. They're like, Jesus, like it was rough.
God damn.
Yeah, but like I don't know. So you got Carl and Alex. Did you get to this point? Where did you all like drop off at?
I dropped off. I did a couple fights with Dark Yojimbo, and I did the Maga Sisters by accident, just all of them, because
Nice.
it was also the first. It was before I even unlocked the Maga Sisters, but I didn't really go and kill Shiva, Bahamut, or the full Yojimbo, and barely
full
anything with the
Yojimbo.
Maga
Gotcha.
Sisters. I am very glad to hear that you can split them up, because that seems much more doable.
Yes.
It definitely is.
Unions work.
Dark Cindy is the funniest one though, because like I think like you can't lose to Dark Cindy.
That
Like-
sounds about right in my experience with using the summon itself. That sounds right, because if I was down to her, I'd be like, well, I guess I'll just dismiss because there's nothing more I can do.
Y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe aside from her overdrive, which does gravity-based damage, so it's percentage-based, she doesn't have any AoE or multi-hit attacks.
She
So
does not.
yeah, so you essentially can't lose if you have Auto Phoenix, right? Like you just keep clicking attack
Unless
and
you run
win.
out of Phoenix Downs, I would imagine.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say Cindy's free.
So now that we've presumably have beaten every Dark Aeon,
A
Now what?
cutscene begins in the Calm Lands. And it's actually, I
Yeah.
kind of like this cutscene because I feel like it gives gravity to what we're getting ready to do. It basically shows like I guess the spirits of the Dark Aeons, I guess, like coalesce over the Calmlands and kind of dive down into the giant crater, or not crater, but the canyon that's there,
The chasm,
right?
or whatever.
Yeah, the chasm.
I forgot what they call it, like
The gorge or the chasm or something.
The Springfield Gorge. So that Homer jumps over on the skateboard.
I believe Machen called it a great rend in the earth.
Yeah, Rend.
Rend's travel agency.
Rend and Stimpy.
Yeah. But after that, like this, how the fuck would you describe Penance? So like this monster raises up from.
It's like a sarcophagus with floaty arms.
It's like a later generation Pokemon, or like one of the early angels in Evangelion, like one or the other.
It
Yeah.
actually kind of looks like a ship, like almost like on its pointing downwards in some ways. Like it's got the wheel above its head and like wings. It has like some of the design actually kind of reminds me of the Fahrenheit a little bit, but like crossed with like a sarcophagus or like an Iron Maiden.
An Iron Maiden.
It fucking looks like a tomb, like a thing that was buried in this thing.
Yeah, fair.
You guys take notice of like the background of this fight? Like, why is everything green all of a sudden?
Yeah, when we fight them, everything's
so
green.
weird.
Yeah.
Like, what happened?
Nasty skies.
Oh yeah, it got all sickly.
That's pollution.
The stink lines.
Yeah, it's just farting constantly.
So in terms of what Penance actually is,
I was gonna say, is there like lore? Or?
I don't think there is officially, but I like to think it's like a previous final Aeon. Particularly because where has it been established that the summoners typically go to fight Sin? The Calmlands. Where do we see Penance appear? Specifically from the Calmlands.
Right.
So
Lily does have 2 buff arms for some reason. I was looking at like an actual model of it.
So it's at least my headcanon is that it's like Gandalf's final Aeon or something. I don't know.
Right.
For some reason, when you said Gandalf's final Aeon, I was just thinking of like, okay, so the Balrog killed Penance the Gray, and then it came back to fight us as Penance the White.
Is there like maybe the ultimatum has like some
The Ultimania. I don't trust anything the Ultimania says. I'm gonna say
it also
that right
says
here
that
and now.
Dreams Anarchy
in Japanese it's called Der Richter, which is weird.
Richter. It's on its way to fight Dracula.
On the bottom of the page, I'm not sure where the bottom of the wiki says. I don't know where the source of this is, but it says the Penance is known as Der Richter, which translates from German as the judge, fitting as is considered the last resort of Yevon's attempt to subdue Yuna and her guardians for good, since the Dark Aeons failed. And that seems like a kind of, I don't know, some subtext to reading into. I don't
So
know
Yevon just has this thing sitting around ready to go, according to that?
I know what it is. I know exactly what it is. So there's a bunch of Dark Aeons that we just killed. And we also killed the Mega Sisters, who are more or less, I think they're supposed to be like Sentai or like, like the Power Rangers kind of thing. This is just a fucking Megazord.
Oh, I thought you were going to say it was Lord Zordon, but I like that too.
It's definitely just
Finally,
the Megazord.
after a million years.
Yeah, it's the Rita Repulsa of Final Fantasy X. Who is the boss? Who is the bad guy from the Power Rangers movie? That Ivan Ooze. Like,
It sounds
this is the
right.
Ivan
I
Ooze.
literally, I think the last time I saw the Power Rangers movie was in theaters when I was like 6.
Dude, I saw it in theaters when I was a kid, and I was so goddamn jazzed on it.
I couldn't tell you a single thing about it. I don't remember it at all. But I loved it. Oh man, I was 5 when it came out.
I also remember seeing the Digimon movie in theaters when I was significantly older than when the Power Rangers movie came out, and fucking loving that shit too. Anyway.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, Penance. Penance is the super boss of FFX, right? Like, this is the ultimate challenge in a way.
This would be ultimate weapon in like 7, right? But
Or like ruby weapon.
Like ruby weapon.
Yeah, wasn't
Yeah.
there a weapon we had like kind of fight multiple times around the map in 7?
That was Ultima.
That was
Ultima.
that was
the
what-
Yojimbo of FF7.
But I think that was also like mandatory, right? Like that was like the story one.
You fight him once in Medieval for the story, and then he runs away. But the actual fights with him where you kill him, that's all optional.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was like, this guy's in a fucking wheelchair. I'm coming back later.
Yeah,
I like that this
so-
whole there's a whole like a lot of prep in the like the strategy guides for this because it's assuming you've done a lot of homework.
Yeah,
Man.
so we know you've played for the last 70 hours getting ready to be here. Now, here's the strat.
So step 1 is all of that like really high-end armor that you've spent all that time making. Scrap that shit. It's no longer useful. Like another set of armor. And so like first thing I had to do to get ready for Penance is start farming chocobo wings again. Like get all my gil. I actually did what you were talking about, Alex, the gil farming strat where you buy all those Tetra armbands and start like changing them and then selling them. So I got like a bunch of money that way.
Yeah, you just like put one. I forgot what the modifier is. Like there's an item you can get a lot of from the monster
Healing
arena.
springs.
Yeah, you just put a healing spring on it, and then all of a sudden it's like,
Oh, do you get that from Kotos?
I did, yeah. And you can make
Ooh,
like
hell
6
yeah.
of them per fight. And then you just sell them all and you get a lot of money that way. But anyway,
yeah, you just like it's just like an item you get like 99 of, and one of them increases the value of this one cheap ass armor for like 2 or 20,000.
yeah. So I feel like this plays in a little bit to what Mrzwanzig was saying earlier about you don't need to like survive attacks in
Well,
FF10.
the funny thing about this is kind of the exception.
Well, agreed, yeah. So go ahead.
Well, the main thing to note about Penance is that he has these arms, and the arms get separate turns, and essentially, any kind of reasonable strat of fighting him is don't let the arms get turns ever.
Yeah, because I mean they do like status effects and they get rid of your status effects and
They can do
they're
some
mean.
really annoying stuff. They can cause they can cast Mighty Guard on Penance, which includes regen, which you don't want.
yeah, it's real rough.
So yeah, they've got 500,000 HP each, and they regenerate pretty fast.
So I think the thing is like because of the speed that they regenerate and the amount of time you have, you can't rely on strats around reviving characters or healing because that is going to take up some of your turns. So you need to actually survive these hits, right?
I mean, so when I went into it, like the first try, I didn't really have like the ideal setup for it, and it was like a massive slog. I was fighting him for like I don't know how long, but a very long time, and I eventually like. I probably would have been able to win if I had maxed out on healing items beforehand, but I ran out of healing items.
I was wondering about that because this is another battle where I was like, I wonder if this is even doable without the strategy.
Yeah, it's probably doable, but it's definitely a lot rougher.
Well, so for the armor in this case, because we want to actually survive these attacks, the two big differences to what we have right now, because we're still going to have auto haste on. That's absolutely necessary, right? You got to have that. We're going to have auto protect. I think I had that on my last one as well. That's super necessary. And the two differences for the armor that I built for Penance, and these are all part of the guides that are online, right? This is what people say to do. So this isn't like some like novel strat or anything. Is to have auto potion instead of like an auto phoenix or something like that. And then defense plus 20%. And the thing is, if you have protect, defense plus 20%, and you throw Riku's hyper, what is it called? Hyper
Mighty Guard or whatever.
Oh, yeah, no, it's Ultra Null. It's Ultra Null. I'm sorry.
The
Ultra
one that
Null.
gives you 5 times cheer.
Yeah, the one that gives you 5 times cheer. You can tank any attack that Penance can throw at you. So it'll actually bring it under the 9999 limit, and you can actually deal with it. And if you sell or get rid of all of your potions and high potions and have enough X potions, every time you take damage, all of your characters will throw an X potion and you'll get healed back to max HP. So you can continually tank those attacks.
Or alternatively, you do what I did. Just do it with regular potions, but use Trio.
Oh, okay. Trio of 9.
Will just heal for 9.
Fair enough. That's smart.
Nice.
That's smart. So that's like the necessary prep, I guess, for me, right? Because that's the strategy I went with. That was like my prep: get all that armor made, get 99x potions. I just bribed for them, and have all your celestial weapons and max stats, right? And if you can hit Yojimbo, you can hit Penance. Is kind of the way that it seemed to be working for me. I never missed Penance once.
Yeah, the arms. Let me see, I have it up here. I think they actually have low luck in this instance, but they have high evasion. So again, it's like this weird thing where the evasion calculation, if they have high enough evasion, then even with maxed out accuracy, you will get like a low value for that calculation. So then you need like high luck to make up for it, essentially.
Yeah, I think I read online that you need like 85 luck.
85 is the magic number for this to hit them 100%.
Right.
And you don't want to be missing these because again, you don't want them getting turns.
Well, so here's the thing, right? So the big deal with Penance, the thing you don't want to happen is for Penance to get its turn while both arms are on the board, right? Like that's bad if that happens, because it's going to use what's it called, Judgment? I think it's the attack, which also looks cool as fuck, by the way. Like it's another like nicely animated attack, which I did get hit by 40 minutes into a fight one time. And I was like, no,
that's rough.
Yeah. And it was funny is like the thing about it, and to me this is the challenge of it and why it's both fun but also annoying, is kind of the same thing causes it to be both of those things, is that you have to pay attention, because the amount of time you have in between the arms not being there, and you actually have time now to hit Penance, you might only get 3 or 4 attacks off, and then the arms come right back. Like, it is not a large window. So like if an arm comes up, you spend every turn hitting that arm and getting rid of it. You might get 2 or 3 attacks to hit Penance before the other arm comes back up. So like you're going all the time, and it feels like you're barely putting damage in on them. And then Penance is also getting its attacks, which once it goes down 300,000 HP, 3 million HP, it starts using this move called Immolation, which causes armor break and mental break on you. So then you have to start dispelling yourself. So you're wasting another turn.
And it also takes all of your MP.
Yeah, and it reduces your MP to 0. So
which is bad if you're not using 3 stars.
You have to use the 3 stars, yeah. Because the thing is that like if you don't, and you are just like, oh, I'm just going to throw an ether, you're wasting one of your valuable turns to actually do damage to Penance, because you don't get that many windows to do so.
It's all about optimizing how much time you can spend doing damage to him and the arms.
And the way that I messed up when I was doing it, like the reason I lost was because I didn't time the arms correctly. Because I would find that like I would get like an odd number of turns, or like a weird number of turns sometimes in between arms, and slowly they started getting back together closer and closer, right? Where like, oh, this time I only had 2 attacks in between the arms. This time I only had 1 attack in between the arms. And then eventually it got to where an arm would be there and I needed 1 more hit to take it out, and Penance's turn was coming up. And on the turn Penance comes up, his other arm regenerated and he used Judgment, and I gamed over. And I was what the fuck? Like, that sucks. So you kind of have to like figure out how many turns you need to do each thing, and sometimes you might even like want to take 1 or 2 turns to just attack Penance and not the arms, so you can separate that time again and get like that little buffer in between.
Yeah, there's like a cycle that you need to really find yourself in. Like I doubt everyone has the same exact cycle, but if it works for you, then it works, and you just have to kind of like stick to it, because any deviation, you're gonna see that Judgment.
Yeah, that's the thing, is like you have to be so on top of it constantly, because like if you're like not paying attention and you just smash through an attack or 2, that could be it. Like if you forget to quick hit and instead you just normal attack, like you may have fucked your fucking rhythm up right there. That could be it for you.
And I don't think we mentioned, but he has 12 million HP,
12 million!
Which is already the most of any enemy, but it's not like that much more than like Dark Eon or Nemesis. And then you realize, yeah, most of the time I'm not even going to be hitting him. Most of the time I'm going to be hitting the arms. So realistically, you're going to be able to do like 3 times that amount of HP.
It took me a full Resident Evil movie from 2003 to be able to beat Penance. That's exactly how long it took.
As you guys are describing all of this, because obviously I haven't done this fight yet, maybe I never will. I mean, I think I will eventually. I put a lot of hours into getting almost prepared for this, so I probably will eventually give this a try, but I'm watching a video on like, it's a 37-minute video of just the fight. It's been like 16 minutes and there's still more than half of this video left.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
I will say, once Penance reaches that second phase where like its sarcophagus part of its body falls off and it like reveals a tail, I think it actually gets a little easier at that point to me, because you have to start doing the dispelling thing where you dispel the breaks, but it's not hitting every single person at once. Like it no longer attacks every member of your party. Not that I guess makes it that much easier, but like every now and again Titus would get in a counterattack and I'd be like, yeah.
Yeah, you can actually sentinel that. So having Titus use sentinel. You know, it's just the same person. You can just prepare in that. So that's nice.
Oh, that's awesome.
That would have made it so much easier.
Pen's a little sneaky when he goes from that like phase change from 1 to 2, because all of a sudden it gets like haste for 1 turn or something like that.
Yeah.
So you can actually like dispel that and give yourself a little more buffer room.
Yeah. Which I think the strategy I was reading said to throw purifying salts at him would take away any of his buffs. So yeah.
Its tail's all wiggly. I don't like it. Look at the video.
Yeah.
Keep that thing packed.
So
keep it packed.
With all of this and just watching how much goes into this fight, like part of me is kind of like, oh, this seems like it's like bullshit, like this is a bullshit fight, but I don't actually think that's the case. Like my way of looking at this is they built this really incredible system. They built the sphere grid. They made it so that you can max it out and that's how you get max stats. It's not really like level grinding in other Final Fantasies where it's kind of brainless and you're just like, okay, what enemies give me the most AP? What can I do to like get all the AP and stuff? It's like, it's way more like interesting than that. And I feel like this is more like a new game plus sort of thing where it's like, yeah, if you want to keep playing and you actually do want to max level your characters, we're going to reward you with a really difficult fight that you can beat.
Sure.
I would have to say, like, having replayed like the post game of FF10 now, I like it more than I thought I did previously. There are actually some fights that I had a lot of fun, like without looking too much at guides, kind of like figuring out the strategy a bit for. I will say I think there is like some part of the system that kind of breaks down at this point. I think it's a shame that you're kind of forced to have one party if you don't want to like grind up 7 characters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It also kind of sucks that magic more or less becomes obsolete.
Yeah. It's funny because like up until this point, up until literally like the end of the game where I split my save files, I was pretty much just throwing magic, and I like made Yuna my main MVP because I was like, her magic attack is so strong and she's got double cast. Like I basically just made her a black mage.
You were waiting to get Ultima for like the entire game.
That's what I was building towards, and I was so excited for it. And now in my game, I'm like, oh, it makes more sense for me to just attack with Yuna.
Right.
Way more than a double cast of Ultima.
I do really like the aesthetic of seeing Yuna run up and then the bonk sound from her staff, bonk, and it does 5 9s of damage. And I'm just like, yeah, this game all right actually.
for the video that I was watching of the Dark Aeon fights, they had Lulu using the Onion Knight. and just using quick attack and just like
I
the little
love that.
onion knight
I love
running up
that.
and bouncing. And I'm like, now I need to like rethink this and build it so that Lulu can do this as well.
Yeah, because like you know what? That's the reason why I'm so mad that like Lulu's weapon is the one that you get for the lightning dodging. Because I can't fucking do lightning dodging. I'm terrible at it. Is because I was just like, no, I want to see the little doll run up and do 5 nines of damage. Like I just want that aesthetically for me.
Curtis, the next time that we are hanging out in person, bring your Switch and I will do the lightning dodges for you so that you can have that. We're going little brother, older brother kind of situation
You
here.
can trade it'll trade your Riku for his Riku, and then it'll trade Gengar.
Well, what we do is we turn the console off while it's transferring, and we actually duplicate the Rikus. We both have one.
Yeah.
Or it's going to be like in Gen 2 when they introduced the Everstone, which prevents your
That's right.
Pokemon from...
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, do you want this Haunter? And you're like, yo, I want to get a Gengar. I know how this works.
And it has
they trade
fucking
it to you,
Everstone.
and then you're like, yo, what's going on? It didn't evolve. And they're just like, oh, were you expecting a different Pokemon? Well, the stone I gave it would prevent that from happening. Like, you asshole.
Oh well,
Yeah. So
it's a fucking doozy. I'm like watching the video.
The
of it
fight's
and
still
like,
going on, by the way, in this video.
Yeah.
it's long. It took me a whole movie to do it. Like
Yeah. I remember you being like, what did you say, an hour and 40 minutes?
it was like an hour,
Or like an
20,
hour and
30.
4?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
I forgot if you said Camp4r. Did you do a penance run before?
Yes, I have. And speedrun wise, it's just Zanmato, but I have done Penance, no like Zanmato, and it's a pain. It's still very lengthy. Like I think I finish just after 45 minutes, and a bunch of it is just quick hitting the arms because that's the best way to do a lot of damage in a little amount of time.
Right, yeah. And like I said earlier, I didn't even know that. I don't know why I didn't fucking know this. I never went to the config menu, I guess. But there's memory. Quick hit is the last thing in the menu. It's like at the bottom and on the right.
After you said that, it suddenly made total sense to me that it took you an hour and a half to beat it.
Yeah. I spent most of my time in the menu.
Yeah.
Man, fuck Final Fantasy X, because there's been so many moments of that where like I was complaining on the podcast or like on my stream at one point about how like I'm like, oh, it sucks when I'm trying to like sell armor or like equipment and stuff. I wish there was like a page down feature. And Alex is just like, yeah, you can just hit R2 and L2. And I was like, what? And this is like 50 hours into my playthrough. Or like when he's like, yeah, you can hit select and you can zoom out on the sphere grid. And I was like, oh my God.
We were already in the post game and like, oh yeah, you can do all these things. I just found about memory with like, just I wanted to have Flea always available when I was like running or just doing areas, but then like
It would have been so helpful.
See, this is why when you guys do 13, you need to have me on for one of the first couple episodes, because then I can tell you about all the great things that make the game way more fun to play that the game doesn't do a good job of explaining, like the repeat function.
Oh yeah. 13 is such a wild game. Like not that this episode is about 13, but like it's wild because like there are so many awesome fucking strats and things that you can do in 13 that it just doesn't tell you about. It just doesn't explain it. And like there's like a skill level for 13 in a way that like Final Fantasy games don't have skill levels, I guess, at games. It's weird. It's such a weird game. It's good. It's a good one.
Yeah.
Anyway,
is that a wrap on the super bosses? I guess
that's all of them.
Yeah,
I think
that's
that's
fucking cool.
yeah.
I don't know if you mentioned, but yeah, this full penance fight is on the Fahrenheit, right? And it's just the sky is horrible green.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It has a really fucking badass like death animation where it like explodes like a million different ways. It does the red fade out thing like we did with a mega weapon, and then it does like a supernova explosion into fireflies.
This is really nice that in this fight it's not like ATB like it was in Final Fantasy VII, where you also have to be very careful with how fast you're putting your inputs in.
Yeah,
because it's like not as it's like it's very good that it's turn based, because otherwise that would be a nightmare.
I really like the speed system in 10 a lot. Just being like,
It's so
see
good.
The turn
The
order
battle
and
system,
everything.
the battle system in 10 is so good. Like it's the only reason why I was able to like even want to do all of this grinding and stuff, because it was like this weird thing where Mrzwanzig and I were actually talking about it in a stream the other day, where it was like, we don't really want to use the word good for this. Like it's not necessarily good, but it's satisfying and it's like enjoyable.
Yeah.
it's fun. Yeah, you can you manipulate it in a way that
it's fun in the way that hitting yourself in the balls with a hammer is fun. You know, like how I kind of enjoy that.
Can we talk about how the Penance's arms? I guess I think that's what drops it. It drops Master Spheres, and it's I'm already done with my gridding.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I remember when I
don't need these anymore. How do you think I got here?
I got 15 for beating him, and I was like, at first you see 15 Master Spheres, and you're like, oh shit, 15 Master Spheres, that's awesome. And then I'm like, wait, it doesn't matter.
Where's my completion guide? Where's my sphere transfer guide thing that I can send the Albed primers to another file where this could be useful?
I guess we could say that. At least for Nemesis, you get something for beating him, right? We didn't say this, but you get an item called the Mark of Conquest, which is just a key item that's just like, hey, you beat Nemesis.
That's
good job.
Cool. You did it.
You get a trophy.
Yeah, you get a trophy, I guess, unless you're playing on Switch like I am.
You fought Judgment Day itself. It's fucking wild. Also, the music that plays during the fight is a very key story song that we will talk about in a few episodes.
Yes, it is. It is. I noticed that. I was like, are they literally just playing the fucking last boss music for this? That's a little bit weird.
Wow, One-Winged Angel?
Yeah, that's right. So all we have left to do is fight the final boss.
Now that we've defeated God's pet god.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to say, again, I split my saves. So the save that I have right before the final boss has nothing extra. And
last week's episode, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I've fought the final boss before and lost. I remember it being pretty damn tough. So I don't even know that I'm going to be able to beat it with the party that I have there. I'm actually a little bit worried about it. I'm not going to lie.
This is your post Xanarkand save, basically.
Yeah. I went from Xanarkand to Sin and just nothing else, only the stuff I have on me, only the things I had coming right out of Xanarkand. So it's gonna be nasty. It's gonna be real nasty.
Yeah, that boss is rough.
He's rough. It's really rough. So I'm excited.
Thinking about Nemesis and Penance % being a thing, because you're just you call the game done after you've done what we just did in this episode.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, is the final time on a Penance % once you beat Penance, or is it once you beat BFA?
You have to beat the game.
The game, okay, yeah.
While also having beat Penance.
Yes, correct.
So that just feels like just a kind of
a victory lap where you just go.
Yeah.
Everything you just kind of breeze through.
It's all right, man. Now it's just all about getting the menu inputs and just
yeah. It's all about dodging icicles or whatever the hell we'll talk about next time.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm always comparing things to the castle raid and Monty Python just going through just slashing.
Yeah, right. Yeah. But you know what's really exciting, and I'm gonna go ahead and say this and drop this here on this episode. That means 2 episodes from now, we'll be revealing what game we're going to do next season.
Whoa, yeah.
How exciting. You know what? As far as I know, so a lot of people have tried to guess what we're doing, and here's a little hint for people. I don't think anybody's guessed it accurately yet.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Out of anybody on our Discord or Twitter, I don't think anybody's
trying to figure out how to play it.
Alex, shut up! No, actually, it's funny.
Alex, that could be 7 of them by now.
See, I know you told me ages ago that you guys had a system, but for all I know, it's completely changed because it's been a year of this game.
Yeah. Dude, it has been a year of this game.
It's Curtis. I remember specifically when we first started doing this, you said that, and I was like, nah, that can't be right. No way. And here we are.
Yeah, it's a long one. I think this might be our longest season we ever have. I don't know that there's maybe 12 might
until we do 14.
Yeah, until we do 14. I think 12 probably be close, but
watching friends play through 7, the game just seems so short now in comparison.
Now, yeah.
Just hopping from thing to thing. This week we're in North Corel and we're doing this, and what's
so good about
we
that
get
one.
up to, and then we're out. And it's just, instead of now we're Where we just talk 3 hours about superbosses, y'all. It's like,
I know. This is like last week. Our episode just had like 2 screens to it, and I think we were like, "Should we go ahead and end it?" It's only been like an hour. Like this one, we're just like, "Oh my god."
yeah, I think this is comparable to our Chocobo breeding episode back in our first season.
Right.
Just, like,
Yeah.
the fucking prep and like
Except
time
it was
you have to put in.
stretched. Yeah, that was like 1 week of misery. This has been like a month of like a slow burning misery.
I've become this is not a practical. I've almost said, like, we're going on a month hiatus because we'll be back when we fucking do this.
Yeah, yeah, right. Well, guys, thank you so much for both coming on this episode. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it was great. Thank you so much.
Much like this game, thank you for putting in the time.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
It's nice having some experts who have a kind of totally different angle on this and have constantly like probably played this game into the fucking ground.
No, it was nice having people who know what they're talking about on for this one because like
for a change.
because I like fucking scratched and fucking clawed my way through this end game and was like, I don't know what happened. I did it, but I don't know how or why any of it worked.
Which is probably how the kids used to do it, right? They were just like,
Dude, I could not imagine doing this game like before the internet, like all of this stuff. I couldn't imagine.
The internet was out.
Yeah, well, I mean, I didn't have it.
True. Like, yeah.
I mean, yeah, like early internet web forums.
The only thing that I can kind of come back to in terms of that is like, this might have been the only game that you had for like an entire summer with like nothing else going on, you know? So like it wouldn't be that outrageous to put like 6 or 8 hours a day for like months into it. And
Right.
like, at a certain point, if you're
Just
like,
fail
oh,
all
I
your classes, it's fine.
like the main story of the game's pretty quick, like relatively speaking. So you could be like, oh, well, I beat that, but I want to keep playing this game because I love these characters. Oh, let me try and max out the sphere grid. Oh, let me see what else is going on. You know what I mean? I mean, I guess Penance wasn't in like the original, or it was in the international release, right?
International release, not in the
Yeah, not North
original.
American.
Yeah.
I lived in Europe, so that's just the basic one that we got.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
They took it out because it'd be too hard for us.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
so I'm looking at Camper's numbers here. Like, oh yeah, like 10 hours if you're just doing the story, right?
Pretty much, yeah. Yep.
And that's if you're doing it good.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fast.
Those unskippable cutscenes, baby.
Man, I can't. Yeah,
Did I hear correctly that you sometimes practice other speedruns during cutscenes?
I've done that. I think my PS2 PB, I was practicing Chrono Trigger.
that rules?
Learning that for a bit because I'm like, there's downtime.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's just
Speed running while you're
optimizing.
speed running. That's fucking
I
next
think my
level.
height is when I ran. This was any percent, but I ran PS2, PS4, and PC at the same time. Because as far as the route goes, it's like the same. It's just juggling. Like, okay, there's a cutscene here. I can go over here.
Yeah.
Are you
That's
using the same
amazing.
controller? No, you can't be using the same controller. I'm like,
No.
oh wait, where's X on this one?
I would have liked to, but yeah, I just had a mess of controllers and wires on my desk.
That
That's so
rules.
good.
Oren's overdrives would just fucking piss me off.
Yeah, because all the buttons are in different places. That's awesome.
Well, hats off to you, sir, for being, I don't know, more dedicated to the
A
craft
legend.
than we are.
Yeah.
We're like, you're gonna play through every game and do a podcast about that? That's insane. How do you find
We're
the
going
time?
to do it extremely slowly. It's going to take us 1 year to play FF10.
God. But yeah, thank you for coming on. Where can people find you?
So for me, I stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/Camp4r. I've been running 10 and off things of 10 for a good while. I'm probably most notoriously known for either doing too much Nemesis, doing a max celestial plat percent run,
Good.
or doing 0.0 catch a chocobo, which is the one for the sigil with a dance pad. I think that's
Oh my god, that is
yeah,
unbelievable.
that guy.
I have not heard of that one. That's amazing.
That's incredible. Also, Riz, I think you've been streaming Genshin recently, right?
Yeah, been
Yeah,
big
I've
on
seen that.
Genshin.
Yeah.
Weebin.
Also,
Hell yeah.
he's running 13 now, so he's in like my domain.
And 13,
which is
yeah.
it's cool for me.
Nice.
Yeah, in your domain, you're like, welcome to my world.
Yeah.
Sick and twisted fantasy.
How about you, Mrzwanzig? Where can people find you at?
twitch.tv/Mrzwanzig as always.
Are you working on Kingdom Hearts relay stuff, or are you just playing?
That was recently. There was a relay.
I missed it. I'm sorry.
Right. No, it's fine. It was a good race though. I ran Chain of Memories. But now I'm retired from that game again because my PB in it is way too good.
The one with Donald Duck.
The one. Yeah. All right.
Thank you all so much. This episode's been very long.
Yeah.
I'm glad I'm not moving.
Fittingly.
Yeah, fittingly. Yeah, to be appropriate, it needs to be as long as the rest of the season all at once. Like, I didn't think of any lead-in for you today, Alex.
What are we doing next week?
Oh, next week we are fighting the final boss. We're gonna beat the game. We're gonna go to the end of it. I think we're gonna separate the up to the final boss and the actual ending of the game kind of into 2 episodes.
There's a lot to unpack.
There's a lot. That's the thing. Is like there's only like one thing left to do technically, but it's a lot. So it's probably going to be 2 episodes. And then on that second one, we'll also like wrap up our thoughts about the game and grade the last area of the game and do our next game announcement.
Hell yeah.
So I guess, Alex, would you spend about 70 hours maxing out all of our stats so that we can get to these last episodes?
Sure can do. Thank you to Night of the Round for the theme music. Thank you to Nobuo Uematsu, Masashi Amauzu, and Julia Nakano for the game music. So good this episode, like always. There's always. Be sure to rate, review, subscribe wherever you catch us, like on iTunes or Podcatcher or whatever. Call us at 530-MATERIA. We will be accepting those even over hiatus. I don't care. Just keep sending us stuff. It's fun. Find us at every FNFF on all the things. And I guess just stay away from the summoner.
Bye.